Welcome to Scorched Earth and your general week ahead reading for the 14th to the 20th of June. I hope you're well. Using the Triple Goddess for you today. This one here. I hope we're going to be able to do this in one go, but my neighbours have decided that they are going to, as a new hobby, drag things around a very small confined space in the turret above me. So we'll see how it goes, and if the noise gets too much then I have to shelve this and do it later, but I have faith. So this week, just for a change, I thought we'd start with a different sign because Pisces always get left till the end. I feel bad about that. So this week we're going to start with Cancer, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. You know what the structure is now, so I won't rattle through that. Can I have a theme for the week for Cancer, please? Ooh, we have the Moon showing up in reverse. Now, not only is that your card, Cancer, but it is also a card of things being revealed. You know, when it comes up in the upright, we're talking about things being hidden. When it's coming to the surface, when it's in the reverse, it's things coming to the surface. Now, this could be something quite intrinsic to you and your identity this week, right? That's one way of looking at it. But let's have a look at the best way to navigate this energy and see what we've got. We've got the Two of Swords and we've got the Two of Cups. Very internal energy, right? The Moon for me deals with the subconscious and the non-conscious, you know, the bits of you that aren't really evident to you, you know, they don't ever hit your consciousness. And any card number 2 deals very specifically with the internal space for me. So here we have, I think, things coming to light about how you do relationships, right? Specifically, what are your red flags? Or what are the red flags that you choose not to pay attention to? You know, it feels like a week of great illumination for you. And I can't ignore the fact that we've got the Death card at the bottom of the deck there, which deals with transformation, right? Endings, yes, but specifically transformations. And it seems like a week of epiphanies for you. And it's got the Ace of Swords behind it. Insight, epiphanies. I swear to fucking God, right? Bear with me, I'm going to do my best, but that is ridiculous. Let's move on to love and interpersonal relationships. Can we have a card for that for Cancer, please? We have the Six of Swords. So it looks very much like you're moving away from something. Now, this could be a physical moving away, or it could be, you know, more of a behavioural move away from something. So we've got the Ten of Swords at the bottom of the deck here. Something's coming to an end, something's coming to completion. That could be a relationship, but it could be a particular way that you do relationships. Let's have a look at this. Tell me about the Six of Swords, please. We have the Three of Cups. We have the Four of Swords, and we have the Four of Pentacles, and the Eight of Swords with the Judgment card at the bottom of the deck. Now, let's not forget that we're very much in the grip of Mercury retrograde at the moment, so shut the fucking window. Not that it's helping with that. And what Mercury retrograde is here to do is to help you kind of pull over old situations, which we see here with the Judgment card, and consider, certainly in your position, where it is that you have allowed yourself to be trapped, right? Or where it is that the limitations on your thinking, the limitations on the way that you choose to do relationships have been, in some ways, brought about by you, you know, right? What old stories have you been trying to navigate new situations using, right? Because what's becoming abundantly clear here, and we've seen it over the last month or so, for the changes that are going on within you is that there's a new Cancer that's trying to break out, and there are new experiences that you are trying to have. And it's very important, and this is something that's coming out actually for a lot of signs, that you don't work to an old script when you do that, right? It's like being open entirely to the new. We've got this Three of Cups here, and it's interesting because not only do we have you considering how you show up in the most personal of your relationships, but also in wider ones too. I mean, this position here, it's love and relationships, but it is love and interpersonal relationships. So it's not just those people who are right in front of you. It is how you conduct yourself amongst everyone, you know, friends, family, co-workers, somebody you meet in the supermarket, you know, that kind of thing. It feels like there's an evolution going on here for you, Cancer, and it's hitting really strong this week. Let's have a look at work, money and material environment. We have the Two of Pentacles, that's nice, with the King of Swords at the bottom of the deck. So if things have been a little bit chaotic, I think that's probably the best way of putting it. It may not be settling down, but this may well be a week where you kind of get on top of it a little bit more, right? I'm certainly not seeing anything to indicate that there's a settling down of chaos, but there is a you stepping up to the plate here and being able to juggle these things more effectively than you have done hitherto. Another Two of Pentacles, please. We have the Knight of Wands in reverse. And we have the Seven of Wands. Yeah. It's interesting because the Two of Pentacles, as it is, earth energy, and the Knight of Wands in reverse, thematically are coming across quite similarly. So the Knight of Wands is that kind of spontaneous and, well, I know, sometimes a little bit reckless energy, right? It is certainly an energy of not being particularly committed to something, or not being able to be committed to something because your attention is possibly quite fractured because everything feels quite chaotic. So you're kind of running around from one thing to another. It's kind of like firefighting situations. Feels like it was what you've been doing. But where it doesn't necessarily feel like chaos is abating, it does feel like you're kind of like, you're able to get on top of things a little bit more, because this then starts to become a little less fractured. It's much more focused. There we go. That's the word that I'm looking for. Thank you. Good Lord. Something just made a noise and I have no idea what it was. You're getting on top of it. And it might well be that this is work related, this is business related, this could even be your finances, right? But you're casting a very objective eye over it. And there seems to be an increase in energy that is implied here for you too. It's almost like you kind of step back and you go, right, this is utter chaos. I can't let this continue like this. I'm going to focus on one thing at a time. I'm going to get rid of those things that I don't need to concentrate on. And I'm going to work on those things that actually require my attention at the moment, right? It's quite discerning. Because sometimes when things are very chaotic, it can be very difficult to know what it is that you need to focus on. But this week, you seem to be able to get a handle on it a little bit more. And it does feel like going back to basics a little bit, Cancer. But I am feeling not only this sense of empowerment in you're actually dealing with this situation, but there's also a corresponding feeling of peace that's coming with it too, right? Because it's a little less like this and it's a little more like this. So let's have a look at what your point of focus should be for this week. Point of focus, please. There it is. We have the Ace of Wands. Now this is interesting because generally speaking, oh lordy, with the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, generally in a Mercury retrograde, one does not recommend that you start something new. And I don't think actually necessarily that there is something new that you are starting here. What it feels like is a new approach that you're taking to things, right? And that is very much in line with retrograde energy, because, you know, it's kind of like going over something that you've done before and thinking of new and inventive ways to go about doing it. Now, that's three aces that we had for you in the same reading, very short reading, coming out together. It feels like almost like a revolution in the way that you are behaving, yes, but even in the way that you're processing information that's coming into you, right? It's kind of like, it feels like everything's kind of becoming broader, like you can see the bigger picture in things, and it is changing. I'll just put this actually the right way. It is changing the way that you are choosing to live, the opportunities that you are looking for. Tell me about this. Yeah, thank you. We have the Devil card and the Page of Swords. Yeah, like, again, the Page of Swords, like I said, is that mental expansion. It is processing things a different way. I'm not at all surprised to see it there. But in doing so, there is a very conscious it's the conscious act of looking for the ways in which you have kept yourself trapped. This is a very good thing to focus on this week. You know, by trapped, I mean, you know, in a thinking and perspective point of view. So I mentioned this in a reading I did last week, and I can't even remember what sign it was. I can't remember anything. It's like priorities. You know, and just to pluck an entirely random example out of the air, like me saying I can't go travelling the world because I've got 5 kids at home that need me to look after them, right? So I can't just go and do it as a solo expedition, right? That is absolutely technically, well, it's not technically correct. That's the thing. It's morally correct. It's responsibly correct. But it's not technically correct, because I could just leave them and I could just go, right? That is there, but there are other things that require me not to do that, right? And I'm putting priority onto those. Something else could be like, oh, I can't possibly learn to surf, right? Well, I could, but I'd have to empty my schedule of lots of other things, and I'd have to swim better than I can, right? Point is, we make all of these kind of these flat statements all the time. Oh, I can't do this. I haven't got time for that. Right? What you're actually saying is that there are other things that need your attention more. And maybe this week it's a good week to focus on making sure that actually all of those statements that we just kind of think and say without really even, you know, giving it that much thought are actually correct. Is it that you are using your time in the best way that you possibly can? What is it that you're committed to that actually you could do with not being committed to? You know, it's like pulling a fine-tooth comb over your life and making sure that any energy that you are expending in any particular way, and more specifically the thought processes that go along with that, are clear and actually correct. You know, again, beautiful use of retrograde energy, Cancer, for sure. Right, let's have a look and see what you should avoid, if at all possible, this week. Ooh, we've got 2 cards. We've got the Hermit, and we've got the Page of Cups in reverse, which is very interesting because the Hermit is all about going within, right? And we like that as an energy. That's a good thing, right? And a lot of Mercury retrograde does involve kind of going within and checking our responses to things and seeing how we did things and seeing if it's worth doing it better. But specifically, you are not to go within to be critical. That's what you need to avoid this week. And going within is great and all the answers are in there, but if you go in there with a sword rather than a lamp, looking for reasons to spear yourself as to why you haven't done something the right way, or you know, I'm talking about this in a highly self-critical thing that Cancer, you do very, very well. Okay? This is not a week for doing that. It seems like it's actually, it's a week where there's a lot going on outside of you, and your empowerment can be found with dealing with the things that are outside of you. But we do have the way that you approach relationships being highlighted too. Now, I think the important thing about this is the Page of Cups in reverse, right? Because that is about forgiveness, that is about compassion, that is about dealing with your internal space in a very beautiful and accepting way, that is kind of, like I said, going in with that big sword, ready to just, you know, run through different aspects of your personality. That is not required this week. Please don't do that this week. If you are going within, do it nicely, Cancer. What about this? We have the Ace of Cups, yeah, and the Three of Swords, and the Page of Wands. Right, so this is really interesting. We've got the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck, which is Pisces energy. It talks about, you know, that great intuitive wisdom that is particularly present in you as a water sign. But look how these cards fell out here on my table, like that, right? Don't allow wounding, right, at the hands of other people. It's kind of like, don't go back to those old situations and relive the emotion of it, right? That's not what we want to do in retrograde energy. Remember that we had that King of Swords appearing right at the bottom of the deck. It's like everything objectively. So don't get in the way of accepting yourself and being kind to yourself, right, this week. That compassionate approach, by kind of loading over the top of it the pain of the old situation. We want to, in fact, if at all possible, turn it around to be like this. I've got Page of Wands here. It's all about the excitement of something new, right? It's the second page that we've got, albeit the other one was in the reverse. But the whole Wands suit is about living, and you have quite a few Wands cards here, Cancer. It's time to unlock a new way of being, and I think that not only are you realizing that consciously, but I do feel like your soul is responding to it too. So it's a week for going with that energy rather than looking for ways to run it through with your self-sabotage sword, you know? Right. We'll leave that there, Cancer. I'll just pop all of these back. And we will move on to Leo, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. For the 14th to the 20th of June. Could I have a theme for the week for Leo, please? What is that? We have the Three of Wands with the Fool at the bottom of the deck. This is nice to see because both of these cards are indicating movement. More than that, we have this new start here. Ooh, look at this. And we've got the Four of Wands behind it there. If you are looking for somewhere to live, it could well be that this week you are finding, you're at least getting a sniff of it and where it could be. If you're trying to build something, because this Four of Wands is a foundational level card. It does talk about building a new foundation for yourself. Then we've got movement going on there. The whole theme for the week is doing, Leo. This is not a week for sort of sitting around and contemplating your navel. There are things that need to be done this week. Tell me about this Three of Wands, please. Ooh, we have the Strength card and we have the Moon. That's interesting. And these are asking, you know, the clarifiers on the theme here are how to best navigate the theme energy for the week. I notice that we've got the Nine of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. It's a card of self-sufficiency and independence, but it is also a card of making sure that you are expending your energy in the right place. We've got the Ace of Swords behind that, so we do have, you know, kind of like eureka moments going on here, kind of breaking through. Like, where are you placing your energy? Where are you placing your focus? And is it in the right place, right? This is about good resource management. So it could well have to do with your money. If you've been kind of splurging money recently because you've been so bored and frustrated, like maybe this is a good time to start pulling that in a little bit. But because I see the Pentacles as energetic currency rather than just money, it might well be a good idea to look at everywhere that you are expending energetic currency, whether that is your time or your care or your effort or any of those things. But we've got these two major arcana cards in how you navigate this energy here. We have Strength, which is the card of Leo, and we also have the Moon, which is the card of Cancer. Now the Strength card is kind of obvious it being here, right? it does feel like things aren't going to be straightforward. And, you know, it's one of those things you're going to take the rough with the smooth, right? It looks like it could be quite up and down, and it could there could well be a couple of dead ends in this week where you kind of chase down something and it's not quite the thing, and then you have to retract and you have to go back another way. I mean, it's how these things work, right? But it feels like a week of very deep connection to yourself, right? Things sort of coming. There's an awareness that there's some darker, deeper stuff that you're working on here, Leo, that isn't immediately apparent. Like, it would be nice if it just popped up in front of you, but it feels like this is a week where stuff happens and you react to it, you respond to it. And it's showing you something deeper. Right? It's not all obvious, it's not all on the surface, it's all kind of pointing you to different aspects of you. And it just do be like that for Leos at the moment. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on in the heavens at the moment, and we are being drawn to look at our darker places. And I'm pretty sure for the monthly reading for Leo, I did point us towards shadow work, and you know, this actually feels like it's going on in tandem with other things that are going on around you. So you don't have the luxury, it seems, this week of being able to sit in silent contemplation somewhere, you know, peaceful, where you're not doing anything, you know, to come to these revelations about yourself. More, it is this week about doing things and kind of doing all of this processing on the fly. And we got quite good at this. I'm just going to pull one more card for the moon, just see where we're going with that. We have the Six of Wands, yeah. So being aware of your inner space this week, and how the reactions that you are having to the things that are coming up and the things that you are having to do is affecting you, is the way forward for you this week, right? It's double Leo energy there though, so, you know, it's kind of getting closer to the core of who you are. For some of you, like, well, I'm just going to throw this in here because I see it for some of you, it is what we were talking about in the monthly reading there about being seen, because the Six of Wands isn't just success, it's conspicuous public success, right? It is noticing the way that other people see you. It's interesting that this woman has her eyes closed on this card here, because it's talking to that Leo oblivion. I don't think that's a word, I think I've just made it up, but you know, being completely oblivious to all of the good things that people see in you, you know. Just notice that we've got the moon at the bottom of the deck here as well. Let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships for Leo this week, please. We have the Queen of Pentacles. So it could well be that actually the Queen of Pentacles is a very nurturing energy. For some of you, this may involve somewhat of a withdrawal, right? While you're concentrating on yourself and dealing with all of these kind of, you know, physical tasks that are in front of you, you know, things that require your brain power. But you could well be extending this energy to other people this week. I did notice that we've got the Magician at the bottom of the deck here. It's Gemini energy. It seems like your relationships, whether they be romantic or otherwise, actually seem to be quite, you seem to be blessed this week with an ability to make people feel seen and cared for and nurtured, you know, and there's a level of reciprocity that seems to be coming in that is unexpected. I don't know why I feel like that, I just do. That's the Queen of Pentacles. We have the Temperance card, so it's Sagittarius energy there. Ooh. And we have the Eight of Cups in reverse and the Nine of Swords, which is interesting. And we've got the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. The Eight of Cups in reverse involves going back to something, right? Again, we're in Mercury retrograde, so that's not a surprise. It could, but it doesn't feel like you actually physically going back to something. It feels like you revisiting in memory something, a situation that has had you in a Nine of Swords state at some point in the past. We also have the Five of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, you know, a time where you did not meet your basic needs and other people did not either. Now, if you're dealing with a Sagittarius, it could be that the Sagittarius was the root of the issue for you if it was a past relationship. And that's what you're going back and revisiting this time, and being very kind to yourself in the revisiting of this. If it's not, if it's a current Sagittarius that you're dealing with, then I think that there's something quite healing in this process for you. Perhaps if you're in a relationship with a Sagittarius, any kind of relationship, it's kind of like marking the difference between the old relationship and the one that you're in right now, that is doing you the power of good this week, kind of elevating you and feeling, making you feel quite empowered. But even if it's not a Sagittarius at all, the Temperance card is a card of healing. It's a card of processing. And there's an awful lot of that going on for you this week, Leo. There's a huge amount of processing. But with the Temperance card and the Magician card here together, it feels like you're really getting on top of this. I mean, maybe this is the root of what the moon is for you here. It's the triggering events that, if you are switched on and sensitive this week, and I think that you are, Leo, that you're going to be noticing that there are things that are just kind of poking you in particular places. They are showing you where it is time to heal things, you know, and exposing them for you to see in the first place. It doesn't feel to me at all like there's anything to be worrying about this week. It actually feels kind of blessed, and it does seem very strongly guided by the retrograde energy. So it's a case of kind of rolling with that. You know, be strong, roll with it, and let the healing happen that is trying to occur here. So let's have a look at work, money and material environment. Whoa. And we have the Five of Pentacles. So frustration for sure. You know, the meaning of the Five of Pentacles, I mean, is that there are a number of meanings, and the one that tarot readers seem to like most often is that being left out in the cold and, you know, abandoned and isolated and stuff like that. But with the Triple Goddess, it feels like pure frustration to me there. Like, it's not like she's been abandoned or isolated. It looks like she's gone outside so she can go fuck at the sky with it. Tell me about the Five of Pentacles, please. We have the Three of Wands. And we have the Chariot in reverse. So there is movement, but it's not of the sort that you're actually wanting, Leo, unfortunately. We've got the Queen and the King of Wands at the bottom of the deck, interestingly. And that's Leo and Aries energy, but it talks about very balanced approach to the way that you are doing things, right? It talks about having a great deal of confidence and you know, high self-esteem and you know, being very confident in the decisions that you make. But we've got the Hanged Man behind that with death. And it's like maybe your perception needs to change a little on a couple of things before we get that ending here, and then access to the Magician underneath. Because whilst the Three of Wands is showing up twice here, it is about activity, it is about movement. The Chariot isn't really, in reverse, isn't really giving us the direction, the indication that everything's going the way that we wanted, right? It's further being thwarted. And so the best way to navigate the energy this week is to be aware that what you're doing isn't actually to further the cause that you have been working towards for a while now. It's more about it being an opportunity to be exposed to those things that need healing in you, right? So that's quite fucking depressing. It's not depressing, it's really useful. The thing is, like, whatever it is that you're looking to start anew, and I know that there's a lot of that going on for Leo. It feels like I said, like there's going to be a lot of dead ends. There's going to be a lot of things that look like they were going to be useful, and then you pursue it, and it's like you hit that fucking wall again, and you're like, But pay attention to how you're feeling, because that's what it's about this week. I wish I could give you a better message than that, Leo. That's quite rar. Anyway, what should Leo focus on this week? Ooh, strength. Right, with the Eight of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, this is where your work goes this week, Leo. It's about being strong, being Leo, knowing that you can't control everything. I was spoken in the monthly reading about how it felt like what was going on here was a struggle and a tension with Leo's relationship to power. Like, it's all very good feeling strong and feeling resilient and feeling, in fact, empowered when everything's going the way that you want it to go. When everything's going ass backwards, that's the point where this truly becomes more relevant. Now, we know that we can deal with adverse circumstances because we've been frankly doing it our entire fucking lives, right? But a lot of those adverse circumstances were perpetuated. I'm choosing my words carefully. Were perpetuated because of our refusal to release things, right? Now, like I said, like the initial event, whatever it was, however many times it happened, doesn't feel to me like it was instigated by you or caused by you in any sort of way. But where the real struggle came was with the processing after, right? And that Leo loyalty, not letting go of people or circumstances or situations. You can extrapolate it to everything in a Leo's life, right? That's why we tortured ourselves with it afterwards. There's growth here. There's expansion here of you. There's empowerment of you, but it's not going to come easily. You're going to have to fucking work for it. And that's one of the reasons that makes you special, because you are prepared to do that. But there are ways of working with the energy and there are ways of working against the energy. And I have experienced both. And certainly at the moment, I'm kind of in this whirlpool of going, like, things got easier when I realised that Saturn and Pluto were transiting my ascendant, and that made all sorts of sense. And I was just like, well, all right, I'll just put up with everything blowing up around me, it's fine. I'm sure there will be a point to it at some point. Is that kind of energy for you this week, Leo? That's strength card. Well, there's loads of cards that came up there. Yeah, right. I mean, we've got these same themes here of understanding what is important, understanding what requires your attention, and walking the fuck away from things that don't. And that isn't just things internally, that is externally, that's things that are internal too. So, because it seems very relevant, examine your relationship to power, examine your relationship to your own sense of empowerment when things are going wrong, right? How does it make you feel? This is something to work on this week, because we've got this Two of Pentacles here and the Six of Swords. But interestingly enough, we also have the Four of Cups and the Ace of Cups here. Now, where are you feeling rejected in your life, Leo? And is it... what's the word that I'm looking for there? It's not realistic. It's... bear with me. Appropriate. Thank you. Is it appropriate that you feel rejected in the ways that you do? Right? The retrograde energy is all about going back over the past, right? Tying things up for you. It's like, where are you still emotionally bound? Because you're a Leo, you're almost certainly going to be emotionally bound somewhere to someone who has walked away and left you, or even maybe if you walked away and left them, you know, this is speaking to there being some unresolved feelings here, something that dents your confidence, something that stops you from truly believing in yourself, whether it is an ex, whether it's a parent, whether it was a friend who was just a bit sharp at some point, you know what I mean? There's some of this rattling around in the background, and it needs pulling out and having a look at, so that you can cleanse and purify, you know, who you are moving forwards. Now, I'm going to start work on the next overview very, very soon. But harking back to the 6-month overview that I did, the only thing that I've remembered at all about the Leo one that I did was that this whole process, this whole 6 months, was about the elimination of doubt. It was about the elimination of anything that would stop you being 100% confident in what you choose to do, but also in what you deserve to have, what you deserve to experience, all of these sorts of things, right? So you can fight this. And that's the natural inclination, is just to throw more energy at something when it's not, you know, breaking through the way you want it to. Or you can know that this isn't going to shift until you do the work, right? There's shadow work here, right? That came up in the monthly reading too, for sure. Because we want to get you to this state here, Leo. Oh my shit. I've just turned that deck over and I've just realised that the Eight of Pentacles is the bottom of there as well, right? No doubt. That's where your focus should be this week. So tell me what Leo should avoid, please. We have the Page of Swords in reverse. Makes sense. Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Do not turn your mind away from new information that comes in, like this week, right? This can be new information, but it can be that like eureka moment. It is about getting that insight coming in. But aces, as I always say, remain as this kind of ephemeral potential unless you take it and you do something with it. Now, what you would do with an Ace of Swords is expand your mind, right? Change the way that you think. Don't be stubbornly and doggedly sticking to the way that you think, because that's the thing that needs to change, Leo, right there. Specifically with regard to yourself. Tell me about this Page of Swords, please. We have the Wheel of Fortune with the Six of Wands. Yeah, I mean, the message could not be fucking clearer, actually. And as a little sideline message, I'm going to throw that in there for some of you. Your relationship to money and stuff, and even new opportunities that are coming in towards you, right? It's slightly corrupted. It's slightly off. Now, we all know, you know, it's a bit of a trope that Leos like money, they like wealth, they like being comfortable, they like nice, shiny things. But actually, a lot of us kind of shy away from that. And some of us have highly corrupted relationships with money and material things, right? We're just kind of, and for some of us, it is exactly because of that trope, because that's what people expect of us. And it's just kind of like, well, actually, you know, it makes you feel some kind of way about liking a nice, shiny thing. And it's, you know, it feels highly judgmental from other people. And so we just kind of shy away from that altogether, right? Examine your relationship with money, but also with new opportunities, because it does feel like in the midst of all this chaos, as everything's blowing up, there are opportunities for you. Scorpio, I know, when I was complaining about things being chaotic at the moment, but there's such beautiful creativity that's possible in there. And I was like, you know, fucking right. You know, you can draw out of any situation what it is that you want. Now, I think that there are opportunities coming here to you. And I think because everything's going kind of tits up in other ways, it's feeding into this. I don't deserve these new opportunities. I don't deserve this opportunity to make my life more materially comfortable, or even, you know, expand my profile in some sort of way, right? Whatever it is. That's kind of like a sideline thing for some of you, but it's definitely worth consideration. The message couldn't be clearer, because we got the Wheel of Fortune and we got the Six of Wands there. You are being taught something. And as that, you know, in the usual way that Leo gets taught anything, it's really fucking hard. Right? It's really fucking hard. The worst thing that you could do at this point is refuse to expand your mind in light of the information that is being sent to you right now, right? This is a huge learning experience, and it is setting you up for what comes next, Leo. I need to really reiterate that, because it would be very easy to get quite depressed with the readings that we've been having recently, but it's like, no, you're being called to do great work here. So you could do what you've always done and kind of resist it until the point where it becomes, you know, where it's going to smother you, and then finally you give in, and then finally things start to get better. Or you can be sensitive to the energies and you can just kind of roll with them this week, right? No expectation of result, no attachment to result, because that's a notion that's been coming up quite a lot recently, and just see what happens. If things aren't going the way that you'd like them to go, they're just not meant to right now. So you've got to sit with it for a little bit longer. But the important thing is, what are the feelings that are coming to the surface as you are having to sit with this, as you are not able to change and fashion the world in the way that you want to, right? It's all about perspective. Trust me, as a Leo, kind of makes me want to throw myself in the river, but you know, you get it, right? So let's clear all of these away, and we will move on to, where did you come from? Over there. We will move on to Virgo. Have a theme for the week, Virgo, please. Oh, we have the Four of Cups. That's interesting energy. Deals with, you know, feelings of rejection, sometimes isolation, loneliness, that sort of thing. Sometimes feelings being taken for granted. We've got the Three of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups. Interesting array of cards. We've got the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck here with the Lovers. Now, this is talking about big decisions that you need to make, right? Or even that you're choosing to make, that you are relying more on your intuition to see you through than any kind of solid plan. That's how it feels. But it feels like perhaps this week you might be having a minor setback in the plans that you have, or maybe it is that you've relocated actually, and suddenly you're like, shit, well, I'm here, but I'm here kind of a little bit alone, you know, like it's going to be slightly different for each of you. But the best way to navigate the energy this week with the Three of Pentacles and the Nine of Cups is to build. Virgo, it's what you do, right? You're an earth sign. It's all about building, and building relationships. It looks like it's a good one for you. Building new relationships that are predicated on the notion of you being happy and you know, you bringing yourself, your full new Virgo self to bear. Because, like I've said a number of times, particularly recently, like you've changed dramatically. The way that you deal with people has changed dramatically. And so there's an element here of needing to kind of feel your way forwards a little bit, like the High Priestess, you know, kind of like be intuitively led, because a lot of the old foundations are gone. You know, this is a time for building new foundations, but ones that put your happiness first and foremost. I pull another card for the Four of Cups, because there's so many different ways of building that. I want to narrow it down to something. And we've got two cups. Yeah, see, we've got the Empress and we've got the Three of Cups. The theme for the week then feels a little bit like perhaps you went too far, perhaps you did something a little bit too much, right? Are we feeling those kind of like self-critical vibes coming in, those second-guessing yourself here, right? It feels like there may be a number of ways in which this week you kind of feel like you overstepped the new start. right? And it's a little bit overwhelming and it's a little bit too much. But we've got the Three of Pentacles again here with the Empress. Right? The best way to navigate this energy is actually to keep forging forwards, because yeah, it feels like you're kind of pulling back a little bit. We've got the no, we haven't. We've got the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck there. It talks about a perception change, right? Now, it's a beautiful thing about perception is that there's always a different way to look at things. So maybe a couple of weeks ago, you were quite excited about the new start and all that kind of thing, and then it's actually happened and it's incredibly destabilizing and everything, you know, it's all the upheaval that's gone on with whatever change it is that you've brought to your life. And now you've done it and you're like, what the fuck, what have I done? I've just moved away from everything that I know, whether it's a new job or, you know, you've actually relocated or whatever it is. Kind of like, it's like, no, like, this is a beautiful set of cards, but it's talking about building with other people, new relationships, romantic or otherwise. And I think for most Virgos, they're not really in a place where they're ready for a new relationship of that sort, but new friends, a new tribe, very, very much so. Let's have a look specifically at love and relationships. I'll put those two back in the deck there. We have two. We have the Page of Wands and the Three of Pentacles again. I knew there was a reason why I wanted to put it back in there. Yeah, this is the perception shift for you that you can choose to work with or you can choose to ignore is about how you approach your new tribe, how you pull them in, right? Whether you are excited about meeting new people or whether you are terrified about it, and whether you're like, oh God, I wish I'd never done this. I wish I'd stuck with the people that I knew, right? You've really pushed yourself out of your comfort zone, Virgo. And I think that you felt intuitively guided to do that, and that's why you've done it. But you've kind of done it on a wing and a prayer. There hasn't been a great deal of a plan involved, which is very contrary to how you like to work. And so having pushed yourself outside of your comfort zone, you now find yourself outside of your comfort zone. You're like, well, shit, what do I do now? I'm here. Well, now you create a new comfort zone for yourself, and this necessarily, it would seem, involves new people. Got the Wheel of Fortune there, the Temperance card, the Empress again, different deck, same card, and the Page of Swords. Yeah. Look at this, 3 major arcana cards here and the Page of Swords. Card that speaks about expanding your mental horizons, changing the way that you think about things. Right? But then the Wheel of Fortune, Temperance and the Empress, it feels like the new tribe that you are going to start meeting this week. And yeah, that can take any form. Like if you have moved to a new area, maybe join a club, and go and see who is out there. If you've got something that you like doing, if you creative and you like arty things, and most Virgos do, like, not all, but most. Maybe go find a class, maybe go find a club that meets, with other people who like to do the same thing that you do. That's one way of looking at it. But it does feel very strongly to me like there are potential new people that you meet this week who will help lift this feeling that you've got, this Four of Cups feeling that we've got going on. They could be Sagittarius and Taurus and Librans, but they might not be. This might just well be energetic, right? In which case, we've got here is showing you, how to increase your ability to heal yourself. You've done so much work here, but there are new people that you can bring in who literally just by dint of being your friends, just by dint of existing, can bring value to your life. And the Empress, it's all about the new. It's all about the new here. Definitely widening your circle with new people. And it's going to make you feel very grounded, Virgo. And that's the thing that's been missing for quite a while. It's like last year was quite discombobulating in a lot of ways. It was like all sorts of rugs were pulled out from underneath you. And it's felt like at the beginning of this year, what you've done is you've kind of sketched out what a grounded situation would feel like to you. And now you've taken the next step of kind of moving on to action that. But now it's time to start putting colour into it. Now it's time to start putting texture into it. Now it's time to start making it your reality. Now, yeah. Tell me about money and materials and work. Ooh, we have the 8 of Wands in reverse, which is interesting because it's usually a card of, incoming communication. If you are waiting for communication on something to do with your material environment, whether it could be all sorts of things, it doesn't look like it's coming this week. But we do have the Magician at the bottom of the deck, which suggests that despite this news not coming in that you're waiting for, you actually have everything that you need already. Now, I'm not entirely sure what that is referring to. Let's pull a couple of clarifiers. Tell me about this 8 of Wands, please. Hello? Yeah, I mean, the clarifiers seem to be reflecting that too. We've got the King of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck there. That's Taurus energy. King of delayed gratification, but it could well also be you, right? It could be you, about you firming up your material foundations this week. Right? Exactly what I've just been talking about, actually. But we've got the 2 of Swords and we've got the 10 of Cups. And it seems like regardless of whether this news comes in or not, what you've missed is that you have everything that you need, right? In the truest sense. So whether this is news about, money coming in, or maybe you've got what you need. You don't need any more at the moment. It would be nice to have more. It's not coming in this week, but actually that in and of itself is showing you that all of the important things are in place. All of the important things are in situ, and you can kind of cope up until the point where it does choose to come in. And with the 10 of Wands behind it, it's like, don't sweat it. Don't worry about it too much, We've got the 10 of Wands and then the Sun behind there. Yeah, like when you stop worrying about this, you'll see that actually everything's pretty good at the moment. Again, maybe another little subtle perception shift for you, Virgo. What should Virgo concentrate on this week, please? We have the Empress again with the Wheel of Fortune at the bottom of the deck. These are 2 cards coming out over and over again. It's like, really embrace your new start, Virgo. Just throw yourself, everything that you have into it. The Empress is very grounded energy too. We're seeing a lot of that grounding energy coming up here, right? Establish yourself. This is what it feels like here. And enjoy it, Ooh, we've got the Justice card behind there. Like there's a karmic element to this here. But karmic as in consequences, right? Like you took action and now you have consequences. And actually those consequences are really, really good. So allow yourself to enjoy them. Don't be looking for things to be worried about. Because life's about more than that, and everything that you've been through recently. It's kind of second nature to be having something else to worry about. And that's kind of leave you spinning when there isn't that much to worry about. Just roll with it. This Empress card. I have the 2 of Cups and the High Priestess. And the 9 of Pentacles. Yeah, like trust your gut on new people, but actually seek out new people. I think they're kind of wending their way to you anyway. I think that you might have this week a number of just kind of really odd, but quite, helpfully fortuitous, like accidental meetings of people who are just really sound that you really enjoy the company of, It feels like there's burgeoning relationships all around you. that are just kind of waiting for you to kind of wander into them. And these are worth your time, it seems. Like they're worth you putting your energy into, because they're absolutely going to help you feel grounded moving forwards. You know, they're forming part of the new foundation for you. What should Virgo avoid this week? Yeah, it's the Hermit. Avoid, you know, going into the cave as a response to how you are feeling, how destabilized you are feeling at the moment, right? If you go into your cave at this point, you're not helping with the grounding. You're not helping establish yourself somewhere new. You're not helping meet people, you know? Yeah. We've got the Four of Wands and the Strength card. Like, you've chosen this new path. You've chosen a new foundation for yourself. And what you have done is hard. It's tricky for most people, even given, you know, the last year and a half that you've had here. But you've committed to this. It's what you want. It's what your soul wants, and it's what's best for you, right? And you know this. Right? The High Priestess has been coming up a lot for you. Right? On an intuitive level, you do know this. So it's like, buckle up, put your nice clothes on, go and find other people who like doing the things that you do, and be prepared to accept some really cool people coming into your life, Virgo, over the next few weeks. It starts this week, but over the course of the next few weeks at least. It's actually really nice. I really like that for you. Right, I'm going to go and use the loo. I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So let's get these cleared away. And we will move on to Libra, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. For the 14th to the 20th of June. Could I have a theme for the week? Ooh. We have the Fool in reverse for you, Libra. With the Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. The Fool in reverse. It's difficult energy because I feel like it's an urge to start afresh with something. Start a new cycle that is somewhat thwarted this week. Now, by thwarted, I don't mean that it's gone entirely. It feels like it's been delayed in some way. Let's have a look and see what we've got here. We've got the Star and we've got the Three of Swords. So, Star is Aquarius energy. The Fool is the Fool is Aries, but it seems like you're being asked to pause this week and reflect on what it is that has wounded you. Like this notion of wounding has come up quite a bit for you recently, Libra. And not least because, in previous readings as well, but here we have the Five of Cups at the bottom of the deck, followed by the Five of Pentacles. It seems like there's quite a bit of soul searching going on for you at the moment, Libra. And certainly what appears to be laid out in the cards here suggests that it's not a week for casting outside of yourself. It's an internal contemplation week. You know, where is it that you have not been meeting your own basic needs? And where is that as a result of loss or perhaps, you know, unresolved grief for some of you? It's coming through quite strong. This week, although, you know, whatever new thing it is that you're wanting to start is delayed, it seems very specifically for a reason, is to heal this. And that's the best use of the energy for you this week. We are in Mercury retrograde. That is exactly what the energy is designed to do, and it feels like it's hitting quite strongly for you. The retrograde is occurring in Gemini currently. I assume that means it will happen for you later on in the year. I will get another retrograde in Libra later on in the year. But we've got this retrograde happening in Gemini. We've got an Aquarius card here, which speaks of healing and grounding and vulnerability. And then we've got you. It's like it's very supported by the air energy around it. It's sort of asking you to consciously reflect on it, like really give some mental thought to it. I just noticed that I've got the Temperance card at the bottom of the deck here. Now that's Sagittarius, but that also deals with themes of, you know, healing after wounding. This feels historical. It feels like there's something being dredged up from the past for you this week. You know, and this is the last week where the retrograde energy is at its, you know, well, it's actually happening. It's actually going retrograde on the 22nd of June, which is 2 days after the end of this reading. You know, is set. We've got Mercury stationing direct and then starting to, you know, move forward. It feels like it's kind of coming to a crescendo, and it could be that in the week or so before this, what you've got is that kind of increasing awareness that there are things coming to the surface that need to be dealt with for you. So let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships. Oh, we have the 10 of Cups. And the 5 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck again, right? Different deck, but it's here. It's followed by the Strength card. It seems like issues of family specifically, I think, are on your mind this week. It could well be, you know, the friends that you call family, they could be involved here. But it seems more like those really close, deep, intimate relationships collectively are really on your mind this week. And for some reason, you're not quite getting out of them what you wanted. There is a feeling of isolation here, left out in the cold, certainly, but it feels like it's here to teach you something. Like I think that about every situation, honestly, but specifically here it is. It's almost like being separated from people. I don't know where this notion of separation is coming from. It's giving you the space to kind of deal with your own internal stuff, and it could be the things that are happening around you are kind of triggering this and catalysing it for you, bringing it to the fore. You've got the King of Pentacles in reverse and the Temperance card here. That's Taurus energy, but it could be Virgo, right? It could be Capricorn. But it's in the reverse. Now, the King of Pentacles in reverse is not an ideal energy, right? We could have an earth sign in your environment who's kind of kicking off a little bit and creating difficulties around a family situation. That's possible. But it feels almost like exposure to somebody else's woundings and somebody else's projections this week could be the thing that catalyses you to look at your own. Right? And we all do it. We all project, and we all have wounds that need healing. And unless we've sat specifically and done that work, you know, it's always present. But it feels like somebody else is catalysing this for you. Now, I would expect this to be somebody fairly close to you, to be honest. But they aren't showing up in the best light here. Not in the reverse. This is somebody who is, if it's not an earth sign specifically, it's somebody who's kind of rocking the characteristics of an earth sign this week. So there is a preoccupation with material stability and things like that. You know, if you run into its extreme, it's somebody who prizes wealth and status above anything else. You know, somebody with their priorities a little bit skew with. Let's put it that way. But it does feel like it is kind of seeing them reacting to something kind of really triggers something in you and causes you to revisit this yourself and see where this is. I mean, if this is a family member, it could be that, you know, that there are elements of your past relating to this family member that it's necessary for you to look at and just check. You know, it's feeling kind of shadowy this week for you, Libra, in so much as it's an opportunity for shadow work. It's an opportunity for you to look at old situations and see if there's something that you could have done better. You know, we're talking about, you know, perhaps taking responsibility for things where that is due, but not necessarily. It does just feel like there's stuff coming to the surface though, and it's asking you to look at it. We've got the Knight of Swords here. It could be off the back of some sort of conversation with this earth sign or earth characteristic type person. But with the Temperance card here, there's a possibility for healing, not just a relationship between you and them, but also yourself, which has a wider effect on the collective harmony. Right? And we like that. Yeah, the whole Libra experience is about harmony. So don't be afraid. There's no need to be afraid here with this. I think that your natural disposition towards creating harmony and balance will actually go a long way for this, but there is insight for you and your past to be gained from here too. Let's look at work and money and material environment. We've got the page. No, we don't. We have the Knight. I forgot the word for it there. We have the Knight of Cups. So the second night to have put in an appearance here for you. It's Pisces energy. We've got the Fool in reverse again, and we've got the Six of Cups. Yeah, so I mean, the message is quite clear from the Fool in reverse twice, right? Whatever new start, whatever new thing that you're wanting to bring in for yourself, it is delayed. And with the Six of Cups here, I think it is because there are emotional things from your past that need revisiting before you can look at them. Now, this could even involve your children, potentially, if you are of an age to have grown children. But it feels a lot like what's going on emotionally this week pulls your attention away from whatever new things you're trying to start in the material realm, whether it's a new job or you're looking at a new house, or maybe you're doing something with your house. It's all about the material stuff that is around you right now, your finances, things like that. It could well be that there's a new cycle that you can start with this King of Pentacles here. But it's actually dependent on them, on both of you doing a little bit of work here. Because I'm noticing that this page, this Knight of Cups is headed back this way, right? As the cards lay on my table. So he looks like he's kind of going back to the past here. It could well be revisiting a material situation that involves this person. And maybe changing your mind about it. But we do have the Eight of Wands at the bottom of the deck, so there does feel like there's a conversation this week. It seems to revolve very much around conversation that changes the nature of a lot of things for you. We've got the Death card following that. It talks about transformation. And as I was saying that it's possible that this, because I'm looking at the Fool both in reverse and the King of Pentacles in reverse, that there is a new start that is possible with this person. But at this point, they need to do a bit of work to match yours before you can kind of embark on it together. Now, it could be relationship, it could be a spouse, but it feels like it goes back a long way. And perhaps longer than that. Longer than you've been married or whatever. But news or a conversation or something seems to change everything this week for you. Let's have a look and see what Libra should be focusing on, please. Oh, what have we got here? Got the Nine of Wands, but it's in the reverse with the King of Cups at the bottom of the deck. So this week, it's a good idea. This is my card of boundaries, and this is my card of resilience and all those sorts of things. But it feels like maybe this is a week to be open to conversations. Now, I'm going to throw in the general retrograde advice, which is be aware that it is possible that you will not be articulating exactly quite as well as you would usually do, right, during this time. And conversely, so might other people. So this could be a week where somebody, delivers what they think is the truth, and actually it's a bit sideways from that. But it gets everybody thinking. It's not it's not a week to kind of throw boundaries against stuff, like pay attention to what somebody is saying, because although I feel like their truth is slightly warped, there is something in there for you. And maybe it might just be getting an insight into who this person really is. I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's 9 of Wands. Oh, I'm taking all of those. It's too many. I just kind of cack-handed those. Right. Tell me about the 9 of Wands in reverse, please. That's bizarre. We've got 3 reversed cards now. These are all the right way up. We've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, and we've got the 8 of Cups in reverse. So we see you going back to an old situation. And perhaps the Fool is in reverse because there isn't the possibility of, you know, a new start with this person. With the Knight of Pentacles is that slow, methodical energy. It's Virgo energy, right? So it's about understanding the value of something and holding that up front and foremost, moving forwards. But this has come out in the reverse. So it's perhaps seeing that there is no value in this, and rather counterintuitively, you're being asked to be open to the possibility that there isn't any value in here for you. There isn't something that can be extricated. But you're going to need to go back to revisit it in order to see that. This is quite an interesting reading. It's calling for a great deal of emotional maturity from you too. Very balanced emotional maturity, because we've got the King and the Queen of Cups right at the bottom here. You know, this is a week for looking at your relationships and seeing what you're hanging on to purely for history's sake, rather than, you know, actually bringing anything useful to the table for you or for them. Honestly, it feels like there's a relationship that's trying to close out here. I'll just put it that way. What should Libra avoid this week? Ooh. Knight of Wands. Avoid being too spontaneous and reckless in your communications, but also in the way that you react to those, right? Don't be reactive. Really sit and consider what is going on in front of you here. Got the Magician. And we've got the 6 of Wands, yeah. We've got the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck with the High Priestess. It feels like there's confirmation of something that you suspected for a long time, but possibly didn't want to face. And maybe this is the wound in you that needs fixing here. It's realization that somebody that you've poured a great deal of time and attention into is maybe just very shallow, is maybe not deserving of that attention, Libra. We've got the Magician and the 6 of Wands underneath here. And so I think actually you need to be very aware of manipulative actions this week too. Yeah, it's funny. I usually really like the Magician and the 6 of Wands together. But it feels like there's a possibility of you being manipulated. And I think you see it this week. I think you see where somebody is manipulating you with their behaviour. Because this character looks like the same person in the Magician and the 6 of Wands. And we're back to that notion of conspicuous public success, right? Somebody who wants to be seen, to be, you know, all that. And is quite prepared to manipulate you to get themselves to that space, right? Ace of Swords and the High Priestess at the bottom, like your intuition is kind of ringing a bell at you, and you see the point of it this week. Tread carefully, be reflective and careful and considered in all of your words and actions, and pay attention to where the same is not happening in someone else, because I think that's going to be a massive red flag for you this week, Libra. And it's giving you an opportunity to circumvent it, like sidestep it somewhat, possibly because this relationship just needs to end, or at least be curbed in some way. So, best of luck with that. We will move on to Scorpio, Sun, Moon or Ascendant, 14th to the 20th of June. Can I have a theme for the week for Scorpio? Whoa, that one flew out. We've got the 8 of Cups. So, it seems like some processing has been done by you, Scorpio, and you are choosing to walk away from something. As I say that, we have the 6 of Swords in the middle of the deck and the 3 of Swords too. It isn't necessarily people, although it can involve people. But it seems like you've done what you needed to do, and now it's time to go. Whether that's in an emotional sense or in a, in a literal moving away from somebody, taking a different path and pulling relationships to an end. It feels more emotional though. It feels like you're kind of turning a corner, realizing that you've done as much processing on this situation as it requires, and now you have been liberated. You are free to go off and search for your 9 cups. How about this? We've got the Knight of Pentacles, it's Virgo energy, and we have Death. There you are. So we've got these 2 characters on horses here, and I actually really love this for you because got the 8 of Cups at the bottom of this deck as well. This is a big week for moving on from something. And it feels like you're moving away, definitely from old situations that the feelings of which have plagued you for a long time. Like you're releasing those, you're letting those go, and you are going off in search of your 9th cup, right? In search of happiness, in search of fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. It feels like this week you realize that you deserve it, Scorpio, and this is huge. Like this is monumental. Like I said, we've got these 2 characters on horses going in the same direction. Like this is you understanding your value, and this is you really stepping into who you are, right? Really embracing the Scorpio experience. I've said a number of times that I felt like what you felt to be your greatest weakness will actually turn out to be the most incredible gift for you once you have worked out how to release what you need to release and how to embrace what you need to embrace, And a huge part of what you've needed to embrace is your own personal value, because that has been missing from you for such a long time. It probably never has been there. You've always seen yourself as maybe kind of useful to people. But I think the Scorpio experiences often struggle. Just simply that, just struggle in the same way as, Leo, for example. You seem to be going through a metamorphosis at the moment, Scorpio, and it's really quite humbling to behold. But this week sees you as a powerful sign, really increasing the amount of power that you have. And it all comes down to that simple fact of accepting that you are worthy of X, Y, and Z. And actually, to be honest, in this instance, because we have both of these 8 of Cups here, it comes down to the simple fact that you are worthy of being happy. You are worthy of enjoying your life. We don't know how much time we've got left. Are you going to carry around all of this old shit? Well, I've been doing that for a long time. It's not very comfortable. Don't really enjoy it. Whatever's changed in you, and it happened a little while ago. You've been plodding slowly towards this realization, and it looks like it's happening. Tell me about love and relationships, please, Scorpio. We have the 9 of Swords in reverse with the High Priestess at the bottom of the deck. Now, I love this for you. I absolutely love this for you. Look at those 2 cards together. There's a similar coloration between the 2 of them. The 9 of Swords is a really difficult energy. Right? It talks about anxiety. Whether that's, social anxiety or just a low-level anxiety that you've always experienced because you're always looking for... You're always trying to stay so many steps ahead, right? And we've spoken before about how energetically expensive that is. How much it depletes you without you even really realizing it. And so it is the energy that keeps you awake at night. It is the energy that drains you when you open your eyes in the morning and you're like, well, fuck, I'm here again. You know, it's that kind of thing. It's come out in the reverse for you. This is a week of profound change, Scorpio. You know, this High Priestess is just rocking this absolute fucking serenity, and this is feeling like where you are going, Scorpio. And I never ever thought I would be able to say that about you. You know, the High Priestess is your connection to your higher self, to the universe, whatever it is. You know, she's effectively a channel. It's you kind of pulling all of this really useful energy that is out there, but also this useful information that is out there into your mind, into your soul, so that you can move forwards. You know, you're losing the anxiety about relationships, which says to me you're not trying to stay 15 steps ahead. You're not trying to, you know, work out every conceivable behavior and outcome in every relationship that you have. It feels like a very present energy, actually, Scorpio. Ooh, that's beautiful. We've got the Magician and we've got the Moon. Now, it feels like there's a lot changing in you. I know I've said this already, but like I need to try and find the words to communicate the profundity of the shift that is occurring in you at the moment. At the bottom of the deck here, we've got the Five of Swords, and I do see that card as talking about the way that we get stuck in cognitive loops with things. You know, it's all about a very restricted mindset, a very restricted way in which we approach relationships and our interactions with people, certainly in this respect here, right? But it feels like it's changing. It feels like you are kind of at a place now where you can observe your thoughts. You can see what your subconscious has been playing at all of this time, and where it's been so very protective of you, to the degree that it is causing you to, you know, indulge in self-sabotage all of the time with those relationships that actually could have really meant something to you over the years, or even just in response to the way, you know, where occasionally you have kind of let your guard down and then you got nipped, you know. But there seems to be a huge shift in perception that's going on here. And like I said right at the top of the reading there, like what you have seen to be your greatest weakness is actually your biggest gift, right? You have everything that you need. You've actually kind of been over-engineered to fuck, is the problem, to the degree that because of this incredible gift that you have to read the subconscious, and you do. You know, Scorpios, water signs generally pretty fucking psychic, pretty fucking intuitive actually, rather than psychic, you know. But it's when it comes to the really deep dark stuff, like this is the purview of Scorpio. You know what you're talking about here with this. But the Magician is having all of the tools to manifest the life for you that you want. That's it, right there. And it's utilizing that which has plagued you so very hard, right? So maybe you're getting into looking at why it is that you self-sabotage, right? Particularly with regard to relationships, because that's where we're at here. There's something really incredibly profound happening this week, Scorpio, and it's monumental. And those people that you choose to keep in your life, after this, I can only say that they're going to benefit dramatically from this shift in you, because you're bringing all of the beautiful gifts that Scorpio has to all of your relationships. That capacity that you have to see beyond, which is second nature to you. And sometimes I think that you wish you kind of didn't, you know. And sometimes you look at people and you think, well, ignorance is bliss. Look at that person, like they've got no idea, and it's fine. And they can just actually go and be happy, you know, it's all right. And then I think you think, no, that would be fucking awful, and you wouldn't do that at all. But everything you need to grow is in the places that all the tools you need to grow are in the places you don't want to look, Scorpio. And I think that you are looking in those places. And more than that, I think you've surprised yourself with how powerful you are, with your ability to be able to deal with all of this. I mean, like, age and wisdom and experience play their part, for sure. But it's about breaking down barriers within you. And then, as a corollary of that, between you and other people. Like I said, really powerful week for relationships, specifically. Right, let's have a look at your material environment, work and money. Ooh, got the 10 of Swords. We've got something coming to an end here. But I actually don't feel too bad about that, because we've got the Page of Swords at the bottom of the deck. If you know, you've always got this capacity for incredible reinvention, which doesn't just extend to your emotional place. It's everything. You know, Scorpios have a very strong work ethic. Very strong. But you also have this incredible ability to be able to see the opportunities within the chaos. You know, what does Morticia Adams say? What's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. You're uniquely placed to be able to deal with chaos. And you see opportunities, you see potential in everything, because you can pull it out there in a way that other signs couldn't. So something's coming to an end this week. Oh, fuck's sake. Let's do this properly. Concentrate on what I'm doing. Ow. But I think it's going to work out really, really well for you, actually. Because we've got this Page of Swords here. Now, this is about mental expansion. It is about that kind of creativity, the mind stretched by a new idea and will never go back to its old dimensions. And that's you all day long, Scorpio. There's something about your material environment this week that you are looking at slightly differently. So where it was that it looked like things were a little bit fucked, it's like, actually, you know, with a little bit of work here, I could tweak this and I could make this something really quite good for myself, because we have the Temperance card and we have the 9 of Pentacles. You know, whatever's closing out this week, whatever felt initially like it was going to be really awful, contains, like a little pearl within a clam of chaos, an opportunity for you to do something with this, you know, that actually improves your material environment beyond where you thought you would be able to achieve. Right? The 9 of Pentacles for me is all about good resource management. And maybe it is that you know, the way that you've come up to this 10 of Swords involved a degree of good resource management, and so actually the fallout is not quite as bad as you thought it would be. But it feels more like it's actually pushing you towards the 9 of Pentacles. And so you can bring balance to this situation, you can bring harmony to this situation, because you can see the opportunity contained within it, and that puts you in a much stronger place than you were before. Interesting. Good grief. Right, let's have a look and see what Scorpio should be focusing on this week. Scorpio be focusing on. We have 6 of Wands, conspicuous public success. It's a Leo card. I think rather than speaking directly of success, just focus on being good, right? That's not what this is saying. It's maybe focus on your relationship to success, because we've got the 7 of Wands and the 2 of Pentacles underneath here. Now, I think there are certain ways, certain parts of your life, Scorpio, where you are quite happy to be considered, you know, something bordering on expert in what you do, right? Or maybe you've got a job and you're just really fucking good at it, and you know that and you own it, and it's nice, right? It's not even nice, it's just, it is what it is, you know? But I think that there are other aspects of your life where you do well, where actually any kind of acknowledgement of that by other people sets you into a defensive state. Like, there's something uncomfortable about it for you, and whether that is emotional, and it could well be emotional, It could be about the way that you just navigate life altogether. Do you know what I mean? But there's something about the notion of success to you, right? That sometimes makes you throw up a bit of a guard. Like, you know, I have a similar thing. When somebody compliments with something, I fucking don't know how to take a compliment at all. And the autism kicks in really hard, and I can't maintain eye contact, and I start staring at anything in particular. When, you know, the right response would just be, thank you very much, it's really kind of you to say that, and I'm kind of working on it, I'm trying to do it. But compliments make me recoil, and I'm still working on why that is. I don't really understand why that is yet, but I'm kind of getting into it. And I'm getting a similar sort of vibe here. You know, where, when somebody tells you you've done something really good, really useful, you know, where do you kind of go, Where do you pull back from it, and why is it there? That Two of Pentacles, right? Get to a place where you can balance your responses. Now, I'm terribly happy about it. Yeah, I think in this Two of Pentacles here. But can get to a point where it is manageable, where it is level. It feels like there's something much bigger sat behind it, Scorpio. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And that if somebody compliments you on anything this week, and you feel that kind of kick in, stop and have a look and see, you know, whether it's related to the fact that it's a compliment at all, or whether it's about the thing that you're being complimented on, and then start looking to explore your relationship with that and see why that feeling's coming up in the first place. What should Scorpio avoid this week, please? We have the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords. King of Swords. Queen of Wands. This is not a week to assume that you know everything, Scorpio. You know, this King of Swords, it's all about taking good judgments on things, right? Making good judgments on things. Queen of Wands is about that incredible confidence in your decisions, you know, being seen to be incredibly confident in the decisions that you make. But with the Ace of Swords, you know, that is the truth. That is the, you know, binary state of truth, true or not true, although it's not always quite as clear cut as that. But here it does feel like assuming that you know it all and making judgments and decisions on that basis. It's kind of like be open to new information coming in this week before you are too quick to act, Scorpio. Don't assume that you know everything just yet, because it feels like there are more pieces of the puzzle that are due to come up. And whether those come, you know, via you, insights that you have about yourself, which is entirely possible from what I'm seeing here, or whether they come via other people. Just pay attention. This is a week to pay attention before you do anything too dramatic. Okay, so let's move on to Sagittarius. Oh, the sun's going away. It's clouding over. I was very excited. I thought it was going to be another sunny day. Right, let's have a look. What is the theme of the week for Sagittarius, please? We have the Two of Cups. Oh, I've just noticed that the Knight of Wands has flipped in the deck there. That's you, Sagittarius. This week it's all about relationships for you, right? And specifically, more than that, it's about intimacy. Now, this is an interesting thing for Sagittarians, because I think, well, we've talked at length about how good Sagittarians are with boundaries and whatnot. But sometimes it gives you a kind of a slightly corrupted view of what intimacy should be and how you relate to it. Now, I think that you've been doing a lot of work on that anyway, possibly specifically in the last 6 months, but generally, over the last year or so. And for a lot of you, with regard to difficult relationships that ended kind of last year, right at the beginning of last year, right, sort of January 2020-ish, around that area. And some of them with Virgos too. That was a very prominent sign that was showing up in relation to that. So we have the Three of Swords here. We have the Ace of Wands underneath it. It feels kind of deep for you, actually, Sagittarius. I'm not going to lie. I don't think that you're going to kind of be rolling around in your own misery about, you know, how awful things have been. But it feels more like a careful exploration of your idea of intimacy. And how it's changed and how it's evolved, particularly over the last year, with regard to past hurts and wounds. And it seems very specifically like it's so that you can change aspects of it, because the one suit for me is all about living, it's about experience, right? And this is an ace, so it's all about, contains the full potentiality of every experience that can be had is under here. But it feels like the opportunity to kind of close out any aspect of this which is still operative in your day-to-day, and maybe you're projecting into other people. Maybe even actually just noticing the degree to which other people project on you as well, you know, and how much of that you internalize and carry around. But with a view to doing things differently moving forwards, let's get some cards on the best way to navigate what you're experiencing this week. We've got the Ten of Swords and we've got the Hierophant. That's really interesting. We do have the Star at the bottom of the deck. So this is a card that deals with healing specifically, but it does also talk about themes of vulnerability. For me, very much themes of connection too. And it's almost like you're kind of assessing how you show up in relationships, and I would say close relationships, not necessarily like your very intimate ones, although that's up for discussion too, but like those people that are really close to you, that you actually let, you know, under the barricades of those, you know, really, really good boundaries that you have. And it's followed by the Three of Pentacles, right, which is a card of teamwork and collaboration, building specifically. And so it feels like how you can build the most solid of connections for yourself, because I do think that I think that your idea of intimacy has changed dramatically over the last year, and for some of you that's because you've met new people or whatever. But others of you, like, you're the philosophers of the zodiac, so you spend a lot of time thinking about these kind of things, even if you're not consciously aware that you're thinking about it. Your mind kind of drifts off, and you start, you know, wandering through even daydreams that are kind of helping you explore these concepts in your mind. Yeah. Because I think that this week it's all about real shows of commitment from you, and receiving those from other people too. But it's off the back of a very difficult cycle. That Ten of Swords there, tens always indicate completion, and you know, this one's pretty savage. I think that things were hard for a long time, and it's been difficult for Sagittarius to acknowledge that things have been hard, and that you let things be hard, and that you kind of, you know, persevered in that all of that time, rather than just going, this is shit, I'm walking away from this, you know. So it's taking that which, you know, that period of your life that taught you very difficult lessons and processing it. Feels like that's what's going on this week. It's processing so that you can commit fully and properly to the next stage of your life, the next people in your life, whether that is your tribe or a new spouse, or your partner, you know, whatever it is. And allowing them to commit to you in a way that is not going to cause you to kick up this level of self-sabotage that sometimes Sagittarians do very, very well. I've lost my deck. There it is. Okay, so let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships. Nine of Pentacles. This is nice, because the Nine of Pentacles is all about good resource management to me, right? Energetic resource, because I see the Pentacles as energetic currency. So where we've got the Nine of Pentacles, this is not just you being able to pay your own bills and do all that kind of thing. It is not just independence and doing everything for yourself, but it's about maintaining independence and self-sufficiency and no codependence and stuff like that whilst you are within a relationship. And that's much more difficult than to do properly than people think it is. You know, we often see these people who make out like they're incredibly independent, and actually they're not at all. They're just got a loud mouth on them. You know what I mean? When crunch time comes, they kind of fold. And I think it's very important for you at this point to know that the relationships that you are in in whatever sense that applies, whatever kind of relationship it is, are both reciprocal and balanced, but that your boundaries are in the right place, and it's not taking anything from you to be in it. Like it's only about the value. Right? I'm not saying that things aren't going to be hard sometimes, because they are, without question. But kind of finding that place where it's okay for it to be hard sometimes, because it's really fucking good other times, you know, and it's not taking anything from you, it's not depleting you, and you are not depleting someone else, right? So it feels very philosophical this week for you, Sagittarius. We've got the Queen of Wands and the Two of Pentacles underneath there. Now that could be a fire sign in your life, but this could be you. It's strictly Aries. But it's about being able to be really, really confident that you are walking the right path here, you know. And it's one that is balanced. I think if you do have a fire sign in your life that you're actually kind of working with at the moment, you may be communicating with them this week about that. It's important. But actually, no. Actually, I'm not sure that it is. Because this all seems so highly philosophical to you and very personal to you that at this point, actually, I don't think that you need to involve somebody else in the process of it. You just need to be aware that it's happening. I think once you have done processing all of this, I think it's quite likely that you will then, you know, you'll deliver the results by way of your behaviour. And some of you may choose to speak to important people about this, but possibly not. It feels like you're working through something here, Sag, and it can only be a good thing. Because there's a lot of self-examination going on in here too, and that's incredibly important. But it does feel to me strongly like you've found something worth committing to. Let's have a look at your work and money and material environment. What's going on with Sag this week? Oh, Knight of Wands. I think this is a week that see you being quite inventive. That's what I heard. Inventive. In something to do with your material environment. Now, if you are... Yeah, I mean, it feels like opportunities are coming in, but there are opportunities for you to change something that I think already exists, right? It's about making something better rather than starting something anew. Tell me about this. Fuck. Yeah, the fucking Knight of Wands has come out again. With the Five of Pentacles, I think this is all about streamlining, and I think that you're streamlining for the future. This is it. It looks like there are things that are coming up for you this week, whether it's to do with specifically with your finances, or whether it's to do with your work or your business, you know, whatever it is, maybe even your home, who knows. That it feels like this week, like not only do you have an awful lot of energy to do, you know, whatever it is that you're wanting to do, but you're kind of thinking ahead. And things that you can do in the here and now to prevent this Five of Pentacles are all well and good, but it feels like it's reaching further out than that. Like you've got your eye on the long game here. Notice how the Knight of Wands is turned away from these characters here, and these characters here are actually also going off in different directions, right? They're headed that way out. Whether it is that you have, you know, you just get hit with a wave of creativity that helps you think creatively about the future and how it is that you're going to set up yourself for the future. Oh, I've got the Queen of Pentacles underneath there as well. And the King of Swords. There's a lot of very strong energy towards you setting something up for the future. Something that you are not going to necessarily see the benefit of exactly right now, but something that will pay you dividends off in future. Like maybe you're stocking up on stuff, you know, like maybe if your business involves, you know, electrical devices and stuff like that. I mean, like, actually, I'm just going to stock up on, you know, 2 or 3 bits of extra things that I wouldn't usually need for another year or so. But actually, there's this incredible, you know, supply chain issue that is starting to affect mechanical things and electrical things and stuff like that. And maybe I might just get some things and put them to the side, you know, like this could have an expression in all sorts of ways. But what I see is a very strong drive to get things done this week. A lot of energy to support that. But also, like I said, this kind of planting a seed now to be harvested in the future. And all done with a view to avoiding this 5 of Pentacles, which is, you know, a really good idea. It's a very good idea, both now and later. It's quite, I don't know what it is, but it feels like it's kind of the sort of kind of creative, slightly madcap idea that only a Sag would come up with. But it feels like it's going to pay off. You know, other people would look at it and go, why are you doing that? And you're like, just wait and see. Yeah. Interesting. What should Sagittarius focus on this week? We have the 6 of Wands and the 3 of Wands at the bottom of the deck. It's all about the action that you take this week, Sag. Like, I think you've got all of this other philosophical stuff going on in the background, and that's keeping your mind quite occupied in one way. But this week, in terms of the actions that you take, these are the things that are going to make the biggest difference. There's the 9 of Pentacles again. Right? Making sure that your energy is going in the right places. King of Swords, King of Wands. Like this, there's so much energy coming off this. It's almost like you're unstoppable this week, Sagittarius. And no one would know quite how much other stuff you've got going on in your head because of what you are achieving this week, like what you are really getting done. A lot of very, very strong energy core cards around here, and there's so many of them that I don't think that they're other people. I think this is all you, all of it. You know, the King of Wands could be Leo, King of Swords could be Aquarius. We've got, you know, the Sagittarian energy here. We've also got the Queen of Wands, which is Aries. We've got the Hierophant, which could be Taurus. Actually, this just feels like it's all energetic, and I don't know, maybe there's something going on in the heavens that is particularly favouring Sagittarian placements. But it feels like somebody's put a rocket up your arse and you just actually don't stop this week. But not in a really exhausting way, but in a way that just feels absolutely mint to you. You're gonna get a lot done this week, Sagittarius, for sure. What should Sagittarius avoid this week, please? Got all of these cards firing out sideways. They are. We've got the Magician, which is interesting because that's a really strong card of manifestation. We see a lot going on here that could be manifested. Why should Sagittarius avoid the Magician energy? Yeah. Page of Swords. We've got the Page of Swords, the 9 of Swords, and the Star, which is really intriguing. So we have Gemini and Aquarius energy here with these two major arcana. I think it's just asking you to you know, be realistic about what it is that you can achieve. Although we see all this incredible energy and you really getting things done this week, it's like, be careful not to overextend yourself, Sag. Make sure that you're not taking on more than you can actually realistically deal with, although you seem to be powered by, you know, like the power of a neutron star this week. Oh. Make sure that you're holding everything in balance, right? You've got a lot going on in your head and you're doing a lot outside of yourself as well, but keep those two things balanced. Don't let one overtake the other. Because if you get too far into your head, it looks like there's a possibility for you to start spiraling down into overthinking and second guessing yourself. But by the same token, if you spend all of your energy on just achieving and doing things this week, you're going to miss an opportunity to really get to the root of how you feel about a lot of things. You're missing the opportunity for insights. So it's like, keep everything in balance this week, Sag, and you won't go too far wrong. Right, I'm going to have to go and use the loo again. I'll be right back. Okay. Let's move on to these cards are ready. Let's move on to Capricorn. Give these a shuffle. So, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Ascendant. Can I have a theme for the week, please? We have the Chariot. So, it's a week of movement, possibly travelling for some of you. But it's definitely a week of examining your goals. I feel with this Chariot card, it's actually more about assessing your priorities than anything else. I have a card, two cards for this, please. We have the Chariot again, and we have the Queen of Swords. There. It seems like it's a week to be quite discerning about, like we've got the Three of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. The way that you work with people, the way that you build with people, like what is it that you're wanting to achieve, Capricorn? And is your value system in alignment with this new level of discernment that seems to be descending upon you? Right? I know in the monthly readings for Capricorn, there's a lot of work being implied. Some of it is shadow work, but some of it's really quite practical and in front of you in terms of how you deal with other people, and specifically those people that are closest to you. And I think, we've got the Tower card. It's just showing its face to me here. It does feel like it's a week for you to reassess what success looks like for you. Reassess what your goals are and how it is that you want to achieve them, and who you want by your side when you do it. Because you have a very easy time to be objective about an awful lot of things. You've got a very discerning mind. You're very bright, Capricorn, when it comes to things of a practical nature. But sometimes you feel like you're sat in a cloud when it comes, like it's, you know, in the middle of a cloud when it comes to dealing with other people, because they're just so weird. People are weird, right? It's just a thing. The things of an emotional nature are kind of muddy and unclear for you. And it feels to me a lot like there's that cloud is kind of, as we see it here, it's kind of dissipating and you're seeing things more clearly. It looks like this is a week where you might well end up reassessing a lot of things about the way that you show up in relationships, but specifically what you want from your life moving forwards. You know? It's been a difficult few months for you. And there's some sort of transit that's going on, and I think it's Pluto at the moment that is really kicking the shit out of cardinal signs, but Capricorn specifically. And the energy of Pluto is all about blowing things up. And I think what is being blown up for a lot of you is what you have always considered to be fundamental. Now, that could be something as absolutely fundamental as your identity, as your worldview. It certainly seems like this week, though, you're able to apply that same level of objectivity and discernment to emotional stuff as you can to the rest of your existence. And that's really, really important if you want to get anywhere with this. You know, it can feel a bit frightening sometimes. It can feel very overwhelming, but just as you are incredibly capable in every other aspect of your life, there's no reason why you can't be as capable in this aspect of your life too. Let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships. Oh my god, we've got cards flying out all over. We've got the Empress in reverse with the Page of Swords. Four of Swords at the bottom of the deck here. The Empress is all to do with fertility and abundance, right? And abundance in the truest sense, not of a material type, but like true abundance, where you know your life is really worth living and everything's brilliant, right? We've got the Page of Swords with that, which is all about mental expansion, and I think it's showing you where it is you cut yourself off at the knees in terms of your understanding of how abundance works with you. Tell me about this. We've got the Eight of Pentacles in reverse, we've got the Four of Cups, and we've got the Four of Swords. And the Moon has fallen out to the side here. Ace of Wands at the bottom of the deck. We're dealing with very, very similar themes to what's been coming out in the weeklies for the last couple of weeks for you, but also in the monthly reading, which is that there is work here to be done on you specifically, but also on your relationships. Because I think for a lot of you, you haven't realised quite how little energy you've been putting into them. Now there's no judgment here on this one at all. Like, your mind has been on other things, ostensibly possibly on achievement and things like that, right? But it seems like what is being revealed to you, like where your mind is growing and expanding, is in the acknowledgement of the things that stop you from putting effort into relationships, right? The reason why you default to the things that you know you can achieve in, rather than things that are muddy and unclear about your current emotional relationships. We've got the Ace of Wands here, so we have got an opportunity for changed behaviour, and I think that this is really important for you moving forwards. We've got the Four of Swords in reverse here, and it's sort of talking to me about this reluctance that you have to go inside and sit still with those things that make you feel uncomfortable, those things that require you to deal with old rejections, you know. And by old rejections, I mean really fundamental rejections from a very early age. So, you know, we're usually talking about parental rejection of some description here, and acknowledging it for what it is. You know, when your parents say, when your parents pay no attention to your emotional state and they're only interested in what's on your, you know, report card, that's rejection right there. It's you being taught really early on that your emotions don't matter. What matters is what you achieve. What matters are those A grades. What matters is that pay rise, that new job, you know, the external metrics that our society put on somebody, you know, to ascertain whether or not they are successful. I just heard the word unraveling, Capricorn, and it feels like that is what is going on, you know, in addition to this reevaluation of your value systems, of your goals, of how you intend to achieve them. It feels a little bit like things feel like they're unraveling, but there's a really strong message here of trusting the process, right? It's really, really strong. Trust the process, because there are really beautiful things waiting on the other side of it. But the problem is, if they were to come in now, you wouldn't really appreciate them for what they are. you know. So roll with it and see how it goes. But there's a new foundation being created here. We haven't got the Four of Wands, but it's quite clear that that's what's going on. But it is going to require you to A, both accept that, but also B, put in effort to help it build. And it's kind of ephemeral in nature. We're talking about emotional basis, and it's not going to be something that you're going to feel particularly proficient at. But everybody has to start somewhere, Capricorn. You know, and this feels like it's your starting place here. And tell me about work and material environment, please. We have the Strength card, and we have the Five of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Now, the Strength card is beautiful in so much as it implies growth, big growth, expansion, empowerment, all of these things. But by the same token, that tends to happen when things are a little bit tricky. And we have the Five of Swords followed by the Devil at the bottom of the deck here. Oh, and also the Eight of Wands, Eight of Pentacles, beg your pardon. So we have got you showing up quite authentically right here, but behind the card that talks about slightly wonky thinking. So where it is that you have continued on this path of achievement, thinking that you were getting so much further ahead, only to kind of be knocked back to the beginning somewhat, a little bit, and realizing that actually you have to sit and work at this as much as everything else. You know, there's being shown your own complacency was what I heard there when it comes to a number of things. Now, this could be complacency with your finances. It could be complacency with, you know, just where you are, like where you're at working, and, you know, kind of doing. No, I think it just doesn't ever fit that you would sit and be complacent in your job, Capricorn, because you take it too seriously. And so it feels like this is actually woven in quite strongly with what is going on in your emotional life, with your relationships and things like that, where almost that you've invested in the wrong thing. But achievement is important, you know, stuff and things are important, stability is important, and you're very good at providing all of those things, both for yourself and for those that you care for. But it seems like you've kind of wandered from the path a little bit. Yeah. And this week everything seems like it's up in the air, because we've got this Seven of Cups and we've got the Three of Swords here. Now, the word complacency keeps coming up. Like I can't shift that. It's not going anywhere. And seeing where you have been complacent is a thing. I don't think it's anything to do with your work ethic, but maybe you have taken your eye off the ball somewhere because you're very comfortable where you are. Or it could just be that it's all raveled up in what's going on here, and as all of the relationship stuff is starting to unravel, it's starting to show you where there are cracks in your own stability in terms of what you have built for yourself. Either way, it feels like it's an uncomfortable week materially, and that is always going to throw you off, because that's, you know, the polar opposite of what you are comfortable with. Trust the process, though. What should Capricorn be focusing on this week, please? Thank you. We have the Magician with the Knight of Pentacles. It's evaluating what has value, right? Re-evaluating what has value, and using that as, you know, your signpost, using that as your motivation moving forwards. Right? Wherever you feel disempowered, you need to remember that this Magician card here says you have all of the tools that you need to do what it is that you need to do. You can manifest the life for yourself that you want, but whether you like it or not, you seem to have some planetary interference at the moment when it comes to your goals, when it comes to your values, and it's asking you to reassess all of these things. Excuse me. Tell me about the Magician and the Knight of Pentacles, please. Yeah. I mean, for some of you, you've got some really quite intense feelings of grief associated around your father. Whether your father treated you beautifully or whether your father was the one who, you know, abandoned you. Our parents fuck us up, right? They can't help themselves. It's just what happens. And even the most attentive and loving parent will find some way to fuck their children up, because it's just part of the process. It was what happens, right? We've got this Five of Cups, and we've got this this Emperor card here, card of Aries, but also the archetypal father, which is how we come to this. You know, some of you have some really severe issues around your father, and it's possible that that's where this feeling of achievement has need to go. You know, you don't indulge your feelings, you go out there and you do stuff, Capricorn. That's what you do. For others of you, it could just be that your father was so attentive and so indulgent and loved you so much that perhaps they're not there anymore. You know, perhaps you're of an age where you have lost your parents, and that is something that makes the world very difficult to navigate. It'll be different for all of you. But what is being really pushed here is this sense of growth for you beyond this, beyond the ways in which you have kept yourself emotionally trapped, right, up until this point. And we have the High Priestess. It's this deep feminine wisdom. Right? Now, you're not a lost cause, Capricorn, and I'm sure that's how it feels sometimes when you're dealing with emotions and relationships and stuff like that, because you don't like not being good at things. And you need to remember that the only reason that you're not good at this is because you've not had a chance to flex this muscle before. But you will learn fast, and you've got the High Priestess supporting this energy for you, like deep feminine wisdom. That's what emotions are. You know, it's about that deep connection to your intuition, to your emotions. You know, this wouldn't be showing up here if you didn't have the capacity to use this energy. Choose that. Right? The first step is always the hardest, and as you get into this, it's going to turn out to be much easier than you thought it was. But it's going to be uncomfortable along the way, and that's something that needs to be, you know, that you need to be aware of. But this week, knowing that you can do this and not getting put off at the first hurdle is really important. What should Capricorn avoid this week? Avoid putting your head in the sand, Capricorn. We've got this is the most passive card in the deck. This is the energy of one who allows things to happen at them. Now, I know I said roll with it, go with the energy and accept and all that sort of thing. But where this card is sitting here, what this is about is taking no action whatsoever. This is about maintaining the status quo, and your status quo is trying to blow up around you for very good reason. So allow that to happen, but do not stick your head in the sand and think that there is no work for you to do while that happens, because that's palpably untrue. We've seen this Eight of Pentacles showing up a number of times here. Choosing not to act where you are being shown it is time to act is a form of self-sabotage, Capricorn, and it's almost certainly likely to end in you losing the things that are really important to you, the relationships that are really important to you. So don't stick your head in the sand. And don't, I mean, it's even more so, we've got the Hermit and we've got the Seven of Wands. Right? Don't retreat into yourself and pretend that this is not happening. Don't do that. Internal exploration is really important. But with the Hanged Man and the Hermit together, this is kind of like pulling right back away from a situation so that you don't have to engage with it at all, right? That is absolutely the reverse of what you want to be doing at this point, Capricorn. And be careful that the action that you do take isn't seated in this need to defend yourself, right? Because I feel like there are people specifically who are coming to you at this time with, you know, complaints, for the want of a better word, you know, but certainly their insights into a situation, like asking you, coming to you to get your your input on this and get you on board with trying to change and shift things, right? That's working with the energy in the best way. If you get defensive, if you're like, I don't do that, and they start moving the goalposts around and doing anything other than engaging with what this person's actually brought to you, try and avoid doing that, Capricorn, if at all possible, because we've got this star card at the bottom of the deck here. This is about vulnerability. This is about showing who you are to the world. Now, the people that are around you at the moment, it does feel to me very strongly, are good people, who are really wanting to access intimacy. Oh, hello. Didn't even look at the bottom of this deck. We've got the Two of Cups and we've got the Three of Swords. Now, the Two of Cups is about relationships. Not necessarily romantic ones, but I think kind of in this case it might well be. It can also deal with, like business partners, it can deal with friends, work colleagues, family, whatever. But for me, because I always like to kind of push a step beyond in what meanings are, it boils down to that feeling of intimacy and why it pains you so much, Capricorn. Why does it pain you so much? What do you have to lose by being intimate? Well, I think that we know what the answer is, but you need to know what the answer is, and then how it is that you begin the process of changing that reaction, being more open to it. Whew. Right, let's move on to Aquarius. Could I have a theme for the week for Aquarius, please? We have the Ten of Cups. That's glorious. We've got the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Ten of Cups is about the collective, right? It's more than just you. It is emotional fulfillment, but not just yours. Right? Your families, your friends, everyone around you, the people that are important to you, your tribe. It's about things being really fucking good. Sometimes it's called the happy family card, but it's real peace and contentment. Yeah, we've got the fireside there and the woman talking to the children. You feel the warmth that is indicated by that card. You feel the warmth in the card, not just from the fire, but also of the relationship between the mother and the children, Tell me about the Ten of Cups, please. We've got the Four of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles, which is quite interesting because the Four of Pentacles deals with those things that we need to release, those things that we are holding on too tight to. And coming up next to the King of Pentacles, it is about materialism in all its respects, good and bad. Where is it that you are attached to not only things and stuff, but outcomes? This is a week for you to examine that, Aquarius, because it does feel a little bit like I said, like you've become attached to an outcome on something, and therefore, nothing else will do. It has to be only this thing, and then you might miss things along the way. But we've got this Ace of Pentacles here, which suggests that there is possibly a change of direction that can go if you release your attachment to things being exactly the way that you think that they should be. We've got the Ace of Cups directly underneath that as well. There's two aces there. It's very new. But we have the ephemeral and we have the very 3D reality version down here. This is all about emotions and relationships and our ability to be able to be accepting of things, which is quite the reverse of the Four of Pentacles, because that's all about holding on too tight, This is where can you accept something new into your life that isn't bogged down with the weight of expectation, that attachment to results that we're seeing here. All right, let's have a look at love and emotional relationships. We have the King of Swords and the Knight of Cups. So, it feels like an opening up, Aquarius, actually, which is interesting. Possibly you opening up to people, but also people opening up to you. Look, it seems to go both ways. Tell me about the grays, please. We've got here the Four of Swords. We've got the Judgment card. And we've got the Queen of Swords. So it would be remiss of me not to mention the possibility that you could see someone from the past returning. And given that it's the Queen of Swords that we've got here, it could be an old partner. Certainly someone that you vibed with very well, you know. But I noticed that the King and the Queen are sat back to back. Effectively, they're looking out in different directions. Like you have gone in different directions, but perhaps the Mercury retrograde energy is bringing you back together. Now, where that happens, it's almost always so that you can end the cycle properly, right? So that you can kind of see something about this that maybe you didn't see before, you know, that allows you to put it to rest, or you know, maybe there's one last conversation that needs to be had, you know. It's interesting that we've got the Four of Swords is sitting at the bottom of this deck here. And we've got the Two of Wands behind it. So if it is somebody reappearing, and they don't have to reappear in the flesh, this is the important thing. I don't need to come and like bang down your door. Sometimes it's, you know, you're talking to a friend and they're like, oh, you never guess who I bumped into in the supermarket. And you're like, who? And you're like, oh, it was the Queen of Swords. Whoever that Queen of Swords is for you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be male, doesn't need to be female. The tarot doesn't care about gender. The important thing is that this was someone who was at some point a match for you. Now that doesn't need to be a romantic relationship, but it could be. It could be a friendship. It could be just somebody who was really important to you, who was on your wavelength and you just worked very well together with, right? Sometimes just the spectre of this person appearing in your mind is enough to bring those memories up and cause you to start to work through them. Because the memory is a fickle thing, but you know, sometimes we just forget about stuff. This feels like it's being brought back up for you to consider, and possibly for you to consider how you express your emotion, like how you receive emotion too. You know, it does feel like an opening up is going on here. Like the Knight of Cups is approaching the King of Swords, which is you, obviously, as an Aquarius. So we're kind of we're coming down to notions of intimacy. How you experience it, how you permit it into your life, you know, that sort of thing. What have we got at the bottom of this deck here? We've got the Strength card. So we've got an opportunity for growth here. Don't sigh. I know we all sigh when we've got another fucking opportunity for growth. But actually this feels quite gentle. It feels quite... It doesn't feel like an earth-shattering thing at all. It just feels like it's something that gets the cogs whirring. It's bringing up a memory of something that you haven't thought about for a very long time. And it seems like it's kicking off this chain reaction of possibly even just a contemplation of how much you've opened up since you were with this person, like a measure of how far you've come in the intervening period. But I don't think this person's going to stick about. I don't think that this feeling is going to stick about for long. Just long enough for you to be able to process what it means, what it brings up in you. And then it'll be gone. With that Two of Wands underneath there, it could well be that there's a slight deviation, not a slight deviation, a slight change of direction going on. Right? The Two of Wands is crossroads energy. It's often about needing to make a decision, picking one road over another, you know, all that kind of thing there. And it's almost like this new information that comes in, although it's, you know, it's kind of coming to the surface, it's coming out. It provides a bit of a micro adjustment to the course that you were on. see you going a slightly different way. Really interesting week. Let's have a look at money and materials. Whoa, we have the Page of Cups with the Empress at the bottom of the deck. This is good. This feels really, really positive. We've got the King of Pentacles underneath that. And so we've got very abundant energy, but we've also got something quite accepting here with this Page of Cups. Tell me about Page of Cups. Got the Three of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. Tell me about this. And the King of Cups. This is interesting. It looks like you've got a decision to make this week about something. And it's possible that the decision revolves around whether you work with someone else, whether you bring somebody else on board, or whether you do this by yourself. Now, at this point, I'm actually seeing this as a fairly neutral, a value neutral position. Like there isn't one thing over another that's kind of pulling me in this is better than that way. Only that you should be open to the idea of both, in so much as then you can actually make a proper decision about it, you know. It does seem to be between doing it solo and bringing other people on board, or consulting with other people or something like that. It seems like you're kind of a little bit stuck. You're not quite sure which way to go. And honestly, it feels like your intuition is the best tool in your arsenal at this point. See what your gut says more than anything else, because that will be the right way for you. If I had to pick one over another, I would say that possibly doing it by yourself is implied as being the best route. But simply because we've got that Two of Swords, we've got that decision needed to be made, and then the Water at the back and the Moon at the back, right? And the first card out was the Page of Cups. Right? She is examining, she's having a look at what's in that cup. This person is not here. So it seems to suggest that you're kind of being pulled towards doing it by yourself. Obviously not financial advice. You know, you do you, boo, and all that. Let your intuition guide you. If you've got a funny feeling about someone, you know, that you're working with or something, or someone that you wanted to bring on board, maybe listen to that this week. All right, let's have a look and see what Aquarius should be focusing on. Thank you. We have the Hermit. Okay. So this is about going within. This is about feeling or knowing that all of the answers that you could possibly need are within you, for sure. Hermit. Oh, that's interesting. We've got the Eight of Swords and the Lovers there. Right? The Eight of Swords is in the reverse. This is a good week to focus on where it is that you have limited your own thinking about something, right? Where have you allowed yourself to kind of railroad yourself down a particularly narrow viewpoint on something? It's about opening it up. I'm looking at this Lovers card with the angel with their arms outstretched here. It's like the Lovers is a card of conscious co-creation. What do you want, Aquarius? Where have you narrowed your focus so much that you've actually obscured the possibility of other things coming in? You know, I just got a mental hit to go back to this, but I can't remember what I even said about this King of Pentacles here. Oh, attachment to results. Yes, where have you become attached to results? Where have you railroaded yourself down? This is the only thing that will do, right? This is about coming away from that energy. It's about broadening it back up again, just as this angel is doing here in this card, right? What do you want to achieve? Why is the specific result important? Would other things do? You know, stuff like that. What are you missing because you're focusing too narrowly on something? Tell me about what Aquarius should avoid, please. The Devil, right? Capricorn energy. I'm not saying you should swerve Capricorns, but it's the things that we are trapped to, right? It is being trapped. It is fear. It is all of these things, or we become very, very attached to a particular outcome. Often that is, well, that's a fear-based thing too. You know, that's not us kind of rolling with things. That's like, it has to be like this, otherwise it doesn't fucking work, you know. Tell us about the devil, please. Yeah, we've got the Hierophant and then the Sun in reverse. We've got rejection at the bottom of the deck here, right? Do not reject out of hand, all sorts of things, because you're attached to a particular outcome. We've got the Hierophant there, you know, the things that are established, the things that you know that you want, the things, you know, all of these sorts of things, the way that you are created, whatnot. But in addition to looking out, pulling away from a particular attachment to a particular outcome. Oh, it went and it's gone again. Consider the way that you are doing things. Where is it possible that you may need to kind of freshen up your approach to things, right? In view of the way that you feel, to me, like you corral yourself down a particular road because it has to be that outcome and nothing else will do. Where is it in your behavior that's kind of caused you to go down that way, right? But what is it saying to you specifically? Like, which aspect of your personality was it that decided that corralling was the best way forward? Because we've got the Sun in reverse. Now it's a positive card whether it comes out in the reverse or the upright, but obviously we prefer to see it in the upright because this is kind of like happiness delayed, right? It's not gone, but you kind of kick the can down the road by obsessing about a particular outcome. Whew. Okay, so let's move on to... Right, let's not move on to anything until I've got all these packed away, right? Okay, so let's move on to Pisces, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. How about the theme for the week for Pisces, please? We have the Nine of Pentacles. I really like to see that for you here. Like, you're turning into a very different kind of fish. We've got the Hanged Man here at the bottom of the deck, which is you, right? And it's all about... Well, do you know what? It doesn't actually matter what it's all about because I don't think the meaning of the card is particularly relevant here. I think it's the fact that you just appeared right here as the shadow card. It's like, I'm here. I am now underpinning. My sense of self is now underpinning everything that I do. And, you know, you can like it or like... I mean, somebody commented on the Pisces readings, I can't quite remember what it was, said that they'd been walking around saying fuck off to everybody, inside their own head, of course, for the last week. And it's like, it's that kind of unashamed, unabashed Piscean energy that we're seeing going on here. But the Nine of Pentacles is all about independence. It's all about self-sufficiency. And I love that for you. It's also about really good resource management, you know, because I see the Pentacles as energetic resources. So your energy and your time are being spent in the right way. You know, you're not being distracted by things, not being pulled away from things. Everything's going where it needs to go. Tell me about this Nine of Pentacles. We have the King of Wands. That's very strong. Leo energy. And we have the Ten of Pentacles. Well, fuck. We've got the Nine of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck as well now, here, as the shadow card. Like, this is really strong. Really, really strong. Very determined. But we also have all of your actions this week really being diverted towards creating a new Ten of Pentacles for yourself. We see you kind of pulling away from what has been established before and being ready to create the new for you. You know, that which you do wish to commit to. And that's wonderful. I really do. You're ready for an adventure now, Pisces. All of this work that you've been doing over the last few months, you know, it's really stood you in good stead for what comes next. Let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships. Oh shit. Got 2 cards here. Oh. Very strong again. We've got the King of Wands and we've got the 7 of Cups in reverse. You are under no illusions about any of the relationships that you are in at the moment. It's like, if you are still bothering with a particular person, it's because you like that person and they bring value to your life, and that's all good. There's no emotional manipulation, there's no emotional confusion, there's no illusion associated with this now at all. So it's like you've paired off all of the I was going to say dead wood, but like that's not a very nice way to refer to people, but you've certainly paired off with a very sharp knife all of those people that don't need to be in your life anymore, right? That don't play a part moving forwards. And you are very, very clear about everything. Very clear. Now that's the King of Wands, that's 7 of Cups. We've got the Magician and we've got 2 of Wands. Of course. Nice. 9 of Swords. Yeah, I mean, wow. That's such a slap. This is like a proper dick slap here. Pisces. We've got the Magician, we've got the 2 of Wands, and we've got the 9 of Swords right here, and it's like there's your crossroads energy, right? Do I do this or do I do this? Like, well, the answer is very fucking clear to me. So you're picking the Magician all day long, like you've no interest now in those relationships that bring you any kind of low level anxiety, and that's often, you know, yeah. When you're surrounded by people who don't say what they mean, you can often find yourself looking for the subtext and expending a tremendous amount of of energy rather, on looking for the subtext, or going on how you feel. You know, when somebody says something and you know they don't mean it because it feels wrong, you know, it's energetically fucking draining. And it seems to me like you've fucked all of those kind of people off altogether, and you're just like, you know, say what you mean, because I'm going to take you at face value, and if I don't like what you say, then I'm not going to pay any attention to it anyway. You know, it's a really strong positioning of yourself here. And in any situation where you may have a potential 9 of Swords kind of situation popping up there, you're like, oh, that's a really good shibboleth for me working out whether I want to be around this person or not, you know. Where words and actions do not align, where actions and feelings that you're empathically picking up from people do not align, you're like, no, I'm not about this life anymore. I'm off, going, goodbye. I like it a lot. I like it very much. Tell me about work and money and material environment. Oh, thank you. We have the Empress, so things are looking really good. It's Taurian stroke Libra energy, but it's all about abundance. And this particular, in the Triple Goddess, she is depicted as pregnant, right? She's gestating something new that is about to come into the world now. For you, whatever this new start is, whether it's moving house, whether it's taking a new job, you know, whatever it is, I feel like a lot of Pisceans are picking themselves up and literally physically transplanting themselves somewhere else. And that's quite strong. It looks like it's going really well. This really, really well. We've got the Leo card there, and what would Pisces reading be without a Leo card showing up somewhere? We've got 3 now. That's Empress. Thank you. Oh, there you are again. Like, again, I feel like completely ignoring the meaning of the Hanged Man and just paying attention to the fact that it is a Piscean card. And there you are. And you've literally taken the sun from the sky and it's now radiating around your head right here. This is such a strong about face that you've done. And I dropped a card down there. I'll put it on there. So it's like, at times, like, I feel a little bit like giggling, and you kind of, the way that you're being right now, it's almost like at times you're kind of like, I can't believe I just said that, I can't believe I just did that, you know, and you're doing it anyway, but you're sort of giggling behind your hand that you've had the nerve to do it, and I absolutely love it. I really, really love it. Because it's becoming more comfortable for you, Pisces. That's the important thing. It's becoming more comfortable, and it is something that you are going to continue to do. And I think that the relationships that you will have, coming towards you in the next, in this next year, or probably in the next 6 months or so, but like definitely in the next year, will be conducted very differently. Because your little superpower of being an incredible, awesome Pisces, and just knowing shit before people say it, and being able to read people so very beautifully, and it's not for public consumption as standard now, right? It's not something that you're just going to give for the sake of giving. It's everything feels like it needs to be much more reciprocal now. The card that I picked up off the floor was the Nine of Wands. Boundaries. You've got some really, really good boundaries in place now. That's excellent. Right, tell me about what Pisces' point of focus should be for this week. Oh, accepting the new. It's a Page of Pentacles as it is coming in for you, and not just accepting the new, because we've got the Queen of Cups under there, and that's very receptive, right? It's Cancer energy, but it's Queens of Water. Water is water, obviously. These are highly receptive energies. It's allowing new things to come towards you, but it is also you taking yourself towards the new things. This is a week of action for you. Anyhow, we've got the Eight of Pentacles and we've got the Three of Wands, which is just beautiful. So it's the Three of Wands twice there. One more. This back in here. Try that one again. Right. The Three of Wands. Thank you. Oh, this is so beautiful, Pisces. You actually make me feel a bit sick. Stop it. Right. We've got the Ace of Pentacles with the Three of Wands here. Eight of Pentacles, Three of Wands, Nine of Cups. Keep working on what it is that makes you happy. Keep pushing towards your happiness. Take active steps this week towards things that bring you a little bit closer to everything that you've been planning, everything that you want. Fuck my life. I'm just right. Tell me what Pisces should avoid this week, please. Seven of Pentacles. Hey, swerve any situation that just doesn't feel right to you. Right? You're probably going to do that anyway, but like anything that is suboptimal and is a drain on you this week, just fucking go. Like you don't need it. I think this is probably, like I said, I think this is probably going to be a rule for you moving forwards anyway. But pay particular attention this week. You don't need any negative energy around you at all this week. And stay present, Remember to keep half an eye on every situation that you're in and just see how it's working out for you. Yeah, I mean, that's Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles. We've got the Devil, Capricorn energy, and the Tower there. Don't be afraid to break eggs to make your omelette. No, just don't worry about it at all. And vexatious spirits is what I heard. Just stay away from vexatious spirits. People who try and keep you trapped. People who try and destabilize you. You've got such a keen nose for these sorts of people now. Like, you can smell them a mile off. They're not good for you. They're not good for your soul. This is what you are after. Chase that. All right. Let's put all these to one side. I'm going to run off and use the loo again. These videos take hours, and I drink loads of water because my mouth gets dry, and then I'm just like to and from the toilet all the time. You didn't need to know about that. I'll stop sharing with you. I'll be back in just a second. Okay. Let's tidy these up. And we will move on to Pisces. No, we've just done Pisces. We're going to move on to Aries. There we go. I knew there was an E's at the end. So, can I have a theme for the week for Aries, please? Ooh. We have the Three of Cups, but it's in the reverse. Now, the Three of Cups for me is a card that speaks about emotional support networks, right? Feeling safe and secure, you know, in celebratory mood with those people around you, right? Feeling nurtured and cared for and part of a group. This week sees you kind of cut adrift a little bit, it feels like. A little bit on your own, Aries. Tell me about this week, Aries, please. Thank you. But this isn't a bad thing, right? This doesn't feel like you cut adrift and kind of abandoned. It feels like you're kind of withdrawing from people a little bit this week and focusing on what's important for you, right? This is a card of determination, but it's a card of the self. It's about setting your goals and then putting, you know, things in place for you to start moving towards it. Both cards talk about victory and success. Now, if you're pulling away from people a little bit, it is because, you know, people are distracting, frankly, and everybody's got their own shit going on, and sometimes you don't need other people's shit kind of coming up in yours. It feels like any withdrawal this week is very conscious by you, and it's a pulling back in order that you can concentrate on the things that you need to. And it looks like, you know, what you are concentrating on is going to bear fruit in the future. Certainly, there's a sense of you getting on top of your shit this week, Aries, and feeling the need to withdraw in order that you can do that. You know, you'll re-emerge at some point, and that'll all be fine. It'll be good. And I feel like you'll be able to go back into the bosom of that which makes you feel nurtured and supported and all that kind of thing. But this week it feels like you're standing on your own. But purposely so, and almost, in fact, with purpose, in fact. So let's have a look and see what we have for your love and relationships. We've got down here the Tower. I thought it was the Tower. And also the Six of Cups, right? It feels like Mercury retrograde is kind of coming to play with you again. Whereas the Six of Cups is about the past. It could be that you have, you know, somebody reappearing from the past, and that leaves you feeling a little bit, you know, destabilized, as we see with the Chariot, with the Tower. So we've got the Tower again going on. And we've got the Ten of Swords. Now, actually, like, don't be worried. I've just noticed the Six of Cups is at the bottom of the deck, but I am going to pull another card, so let's have a look. Don't be worried about this, because I'm not. I actually feel like this is really, really good for you, because it sees you breaking away from some sort of old relationship that has in some way kept you in a tower, whether or not you realised it. Now, we've got the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. The cards that have come out underneath the Tower are the Tower again, the Ten of Swords and the Queen of Swords. Now notice immediately that the Queen of Swords has got a back to these two things, right? And she is looking, as the cards will sit on my table, towards the future, right? She's facing the right, she's going that way. She is turning her back on this. Now it seems like something's got to blow up a little bit before you can move away from it, but move away from it you will. The Queen of Swords is very determined, she's very rational, she's very logical, she's extremely discerning energy. But she can cut those people out of her life that she needs to, right? She's sometimes got that kind of slightly cold edge to her. Now, I don't think that this is you being cold. I think that this is you having had enough of a situation. Now, whether or not this is somebody actually in your environment that you have to say, no, I've had enough and move away from, or whether this is something a little more historical than that, and that actually the tower that you're in is one that you've been in your own mind. You may not have anything to do with this person anymore, but it's almost like this insight that comes this week, and you're like, well, shit, you know, the reason why I had this issue or that issue, you know, this is all stemming from a previous relationship that I had. It feels like a real breakthrough for you, Aries. And, you know, if you're going to start something new, And, you know, we're always trying to start something new. You've got to let something die. You've got to let something go. And this is something that you've been holding on to really, really tightly. And it's like you've taken that one sword there, the one that you actually need to go on with, the Ace of Swords, out of this pile here. And that's the one that you're holding forwards. That's the one that's important. And that's the one that's going to see you making the most progress forwards as you leave something behind. Let's have a look at work and money, material environment. We have the Ace of Wands. Now, the general received wisdom is that it's not a good idea to start something new in a Mercury retrograde, because that energy is all about going backwards rather than going forwards. It's a good idea to, well, it's a good time to finish things that you've already started. But this, although this card speaks about new creativity and new passion and possibly, you know, new projects and all that sort of thing, it actually feels like an increase in energy to deal with what you have got going on at the moment, right? It's the aces don't have correspondences, but the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands, and the Four of Wands are all Aries cards. It's that initial spark that enables you to take that and then go through your cards. I've just noticed that the Fool, which is also an Aries card, is at the bottom of the deck here. You know, it feels like there's a real increase in energy this week to be able to deal with your things. And possibly it's because you're withdrawing away from people who are kind of distracting you at the moment. You know, we've got all of this going on here. But this does feel spectacularly internal. It does feel like the kind of revelations that one can only really come to by oneself in peace and quiet. You know, when your mind has an opportunity to wander and start connecting things. We've got the Four of Pentacles, we've got the Ace of Cups, we've got the Nine of Wands, and we've got the Six of Swords and the Strength card. Yeah, it seems like a real week of growth for you, like a real expansion of you, Aries, this week. Really breaking through. Lots of energy, but again, lots of it seems to be very inward. Some of you are saving to be able to relocate somewhere. I don't know where that came from, but that's and it feels like the energy that you've got is that energy of inspiration, like I am going to do this, I am going to start it, and then taking those practical steps to make it happen. With this Ace of Cups here, it does feel like an incredible release has gone on, or is going on this week. It's huge, actually. And I think where you might have been suffering for a while, it's like the ways in which you can change this are now starting to come up. So like if you've been having a hard time at work or something, you're like, oh, I could actually just not do this job. I could go and do a different one, right? And then it's like planning, maybe sorting out your CV, you know, all that sort of thing. But we've got definitely the planning stages and the inspiration and the energy supporting the ability for you to be able to put in place changes that will be able to, that you will be able to execute later on, you know. You've got to start somewhere with all of these things. But it feels like you've had three aces now. And the three, you know, really strong aces. We don't have an Ace of Pentacles yet, but I think it's because you're not ready to start the new thing yet. There are lots of things that need to be put in place first. And this week sees you having the energy to do that. Ultimately with a view to leaving something behind, moving on and starting something new, whether it is relocating, starting a new job, you know, whatever it is. But it looks really, really good. And very, very strong, right? By the end of the week, I feel like you'll be feeling much, much more empowered than you do at the start. Let's have a look and see what Aries should focus on this week, please. We have the Three of Wands. Right, getting shit done, Aries. Right, the whole reading is permeated with this energy, really strong energy of getting things done. Tell me about this Three of Wands, please. we have the World and we have Temperance. So we have this supported by very strong major arcana energies. We've got the King of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. It's all about that getting ready to plant that seed. Let's not forget that the Ace of Pentacles hasn't yet arrived, but I feel like it's because there are loose ends that need to be tied up and there is preparation to be done before you can plant that seed. But it does feel like you have your future in mind in what it is that you're doing here. We've got the World, leveling up, graduating, but also bringing things to completion. And we have the Temperance card. We have great healing and balance associated with these things, but also an element of divine orchestration, divine timing, a little bit here too. But it really is a week for concentrating on you inside and out, right? What you are in here and your material environment too. Like the two things are so very closely connected. Any small act that you can do, either internally or externally, to complete, right, it helps dramatically with your healing on a situation. Like, things have been tough for you, Aries. And it's interesting how I don't feel like we've really delved into a lot of what has been really tricky for you in the last few months. We've kind of skirted around it. You know, it's kind of like it comes up and it shows its face, but more it's just a feeling that I have that things have just been really, really tough. But they're coming to an end. Like, you've rolled with it, you've gone with it. And I think on a fundamental level, there are things that are really quite different now within you. And it's like, as the finish line is approaching, which is interesting because, like, Aries is more associated with the starting line than the finish, but the finish line is approaching for you. It's almost like you can feel the relief starting to grow, you know, it's really starting to build. It almost just in anticipation of it arriving rather than it arriving necessarily itself. It's definitely on the way. What should Aries avoid this week, please? I've got the Strength card. It's interesting. Why should Aries avoid the Strength card? I have the Seven of Cups. And the Ten of Cups. Excuse me. It's almost like it's suggesting that if you get too wound up in the act of the growth, right? If you sit and look at your own growth a little bit too much and go, well, I'm not moving, you know, you're going to end up tripping yourself up because you're like, I'm not proceeding at the rate that I think that I should be. And it's like, well, that's not often how these things happen anyway. It's like becoming preoccupied with growth for growth's sake takes your eye away from the things that are in front of you that are there for you to grow through, you know? I hope that that makes sense, because there's the possibility here of you kind of getting quite confused and losing sight of what it is that has enabled you to drive so hard towards this finishing line that we see here. But with this Ten of Cups as well, you know, we're back to this notion of people being around you. Like, I think that you're just going to find people really, really confusing. Possibly because they say one thing and they mean another, or they say one thing and they definitely think another, you know, and the frantic looking for subtext or body language or anything that could kind of give you an indication as to why they may be saying something different to what they actually mean could be highly stressful for you this week. Like, it does feel like it's a week for you to pull back and be alone and make the best use of this energy that you've got into furthering your goals, furthering your aims, and increasing your own chance of personal success, whatever that looks like to you. And maybe that's something that needs to be looked at and assessed as well. You know, how do you consider yourself to have succeeded with things? Or are you always moving the goalposts around? Because that would be very, very frustrating. But ultimately, yeah, those two things. As the fire sign, it's about doing and experiencing for you. It's not as much about kind of navel gazing and contemplating, and certainly not trying to second guess other people's motivations or emotions at this time. It's kind of it really is a week for kind of pulling right back from that and not allowing yourself to be distracted by other people, I think. Yes. All right, I'm going to leave it there for you, Aries. Let's put all of these away. Oof. Back is sore. And let's get these in the right place. And here, and all the way around. Right. Give these a shuffle. And we will move on to Taurus, Sun, Moon and Ascendant, or Ascendant. Let's have a look. I have a theme for the week for Taurus, please. Thank you. We have the Strength card. That is beautiful. It's Leo energy. And it's kind of a bit of a double-edged sword. And until I get the clarifiers out, I won't really know which one of the edges is most appropriate for you. It's double-edged because it's a beautiful card of empowerment. It's a beautiful card of spiritual growth. It's a card of feeling very, very strong. The reason that it has another edge is because often that strength comes when things are hard, when things are difficult, when you have to persevere through something, you know. And let's have a look and see what the clarifiers have to say. Find out the strength card, please. Ooh. I trapped it in my elbow. There we have the World. Strength card, please. And we have the Two of Pentacles, right? Yeah, we've got the Seven of Cups at the bottom of the deck here, which is a card of confusion. It's a card of sometimes of emotional illusion too, right? You know, where we are unsure which way to turn because, you know, not necessarily everything that glitters is gold, and sometimes it's difficult to discern which is the right cup for you, which is the one for you to take. But we've got something coming to completion here for you, Taurus, this week, and I don't think that you're terribly comfortable with it. Now, I say that because we've got the Two of Pentacles following the World. Now, I've often said that the Two of Pentacles, for me, seems to be the card that varies the most between decks. Very, very different. Whereas the World always looks relatively like the World, and the Strength card's always got a maiden and a beast on it. You know, you can tell those quite well. Like, it's always obviously the Two of Pentacles, but the manner through which artists choose to interpret it, very, very different. We've got at the back of the card some amount of emotional turmoil, but the character in the card is somewhat separated from that. It's very much going on in the background, but it's not here in the foreground. It's one of the stage cards of the tarot. And it looks like it's taking place on a stage, right? But this dude doesn't look very happy. He's kind of coping with something, but he's not terribly happy about it. Like, it looks like it's quite a bit of effort for him to maintain a sense of stability with what is going on. And because the card, well, what now? Because the card is number 2, what we have there is your own emotional reaction to something being quite difficult to kind of get on a level with something. Now, I have every confidence that you will achieve it, but it certainly does seem to revolve around this notion of an ending somewhere. The World is completion. This could be a relationship, it could be work, it could be a job, it could just be a sense that you have moved to a stage now where perhaps you've outgrown some people and there's some emotional difficulty associated with the necessity of leaving those people behind, because that's quite outside of the Taurus experience as to, you know, what makes a good Taurus. You know, you don't leave people behind. Well, the sad fact is sometimes you just outgrow people, and sometimes you do have to go off on different paths, and that's okay. It's all right. I noticed that we've got the Three of Swords at the bottom of the deck here, But we also have the Queen of Swords following it, and it's sort of asking you to remain objective about things this week. You know, don't allow yourself to get bogged down too much in the grief of loss. You know, the grief of the situation, what you think you might be losing, because it feels like everything's coming to an end as it was supposed to. And so it's about kind of letting that happen and finding your own center in the middle of that, you know? Let's have a look at love and relationships for Taurus. We have the Sun card, which is interesting because it's at the bottom we have the Five of Wands. The Five of Wands is a card of conflict and strife, but often it can be a card of internal conflict and internal strife, and it does feel a little bit like that for you here, Taurus. It doesn't feel like it's necessarily vexatious people around you. In fact, it doesn't feel like that at all to me. It feels like you having difficulty reconciling something within you. Let me have the Sun card, please. Thank you. We have the Six of Wands and we have the Eight of Cups. Yeah, I thought it was. We've got the Tower at the bottom of the deck now. Something's coming to an end. Now, I'm not sure if this is a relationship. I'm not quite sure where it is. It's going to be slightly different for all of you. But you're welcome. There's a sense here, Taurus, that things are actually going really, really well for you. Like really, really well. We've got these two Leo cards trotting out one after the other. The Sun, which is the most positive card in the deck. Like it just radiates joy. And the Six of Wands, which is success and victory and being seen to be both successful and victorious, right? But then we have this Eight of Cups. We have movement away from something. This does feel like you peeling away from someone. Now, for some of you, it might not be all of you by any stretch, but I've got a really strong sense that there are one or possibly slightly more people around you who are not sharing in your joy about your life, right? Let me find a better way to put this. It's almost like there's someone or some people around you who kind of resent your happiness at the moment. Your happiness and success, your joy, you know? It's like these people were okay with you when you were a neurotic mess. But now that you're confident, now that you're content, now that you're happy, now that you're not, you know, overthinking the shit out of things every 30 seconds, like, there are people around you who kind of are a little bit like, you know, I feel like they're kind of side-eyeing you, and it feels like they have an issue with your success. And whether it is that you are moving away from them or they are moving away from you, there is this sense of separation that is occurring very, very strong here. And what it seems to me you are having trouble with is not only, you know, the letting go altogether, but how to deal with this without becoming a neurotic mess. You know, this is the sort of thing that 2 years ago would have had you in an absolute state, like, oh my God, you know, I've got above my station, I've pissed off my friends, you know, I've done this awful things, I haven't been humble, I've been far too confident, you know, all of this sort of stuff, like, you know, I've been far too showy, I've showed off a little bit too much and now my friends are upset. But this isn't, not only would that not be the right thing there at all, you know, because it's not in your nature to be that way out with things. I mean, a show off and boastful and all that kind of thing, right? This is just you being happy. This is just you being content. And there are people around you who have a problem with that. And now, you know, you're either pulling away from them or they're either pulling away from you. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I am new Taurus and I'm not in the business of being neurotic about stuff anymore. So, like, how do I navigate this moving forward? I kind of feel like I'm being a bit disloyal because it's not in my nature to leave people behind or to allow people to leave me through something that I have done wrong when I have the capacity to fix it, because I'm a Taurus and I like to fix things. And just going, well, yeah, all right, you know, whatever. Some of you might feel a little bit guilty about the fact that things are going so well for you at the moment, and that could be the source of the upset for you. And if that is the case, then, you know, there's some work that needs to be done on that. But these relationships have come to an end. They've come to completion. They come to close, right? And they are ending, whatever happens. So from this point on, what is important for you to focus on is what feelings are being brought to the surface for you in this. Are you being accepting of the fact that this is now a parting of ways? Are you comfortable with that? Or are you feeling guilt-ridden that perhaps you might have pushed them away with your behaviour? Are you feeling, you know, are you feeling guilty about the fact that you actually are a bit happier when they're not around? You know, these things. This is a week for kind of assessing your reaction to endings and seeing where it can be refined, where it can be honed, where it is that you have this sense of conflict. It's time to do a little bit of work around that. Because boundaries and all that sort of thing, they're all brilliant up until the point where you actually have to exercise them, and then it can be a little bit like, oh shit, like I don't really feel prepared for this. This is a little bit more difficult than I'd anticipated. But you've got this, you know, this is just another, it's just another level of refinement on the very, very strong work that you have been doing for the last year. I mean, you've got this, you're fine. You're absolutely fine. And ultimately, the only thing that you can control is yourself. So, where do you need to control your reaction? Where do you have to have a swift word with your subconscious? You know, it's that kind of energy. Tell me about work and material, environments. Ooh, we have the Hierophant. This is a nice card. This is a card of things going very well for anyone, but for a Taurus particularly well, because it is the card of Taurus in the Major Arcana. And I like this one in this deck. I'm not a massive fan of the Hierophant generally, to be honest. Not as he's depicted in this deck anyway. But this one's much earthier, I feel. Like much, much earthier. It's about solidity. It's about commitment. It's about strength in something that's taken a long time to build, you know? Tell me about the Hierophant, please. Fucking hell. We've got the Nine of Pentacles and the Knight of Swords. So it could be that you find yourself having a conversation with someone this week. At work. Or some kind of recognition for you personally for what you do. I mean, we're talking about recognition of the fact that you're very good at what you do anyway. That's just by the by. You know, it's always part of the Taurus experience to be extremely good at what they choose to do for a job because you're so diligent, because you work so hard at it. But it seems like you're going to get some external recognition of that this week. Or else, you know, it's a conversation in the canteen or by the water cooler or something like that, where, you know, it is made known to you that people notice that you are always going above and beyond the call of duty when it comes to, you know, getting your work done properly, you know, that pride that you have in your work. For others of you, there is an opportunity that is starting to present itself. We've got this Three of Pentacles here, to work with someone else, like maybe, you know, being outsourced to another department, maybe working in another location. There's an opportunity that's come up on account of the fact that you are so very good at what you do. You know, you've got skills that can be used slightly sideways of where you're at. Like I said, that can be a physical sideways, as in it could be a different location that you're being asked to work in just for a little bit. Maybe it's to help bring, you know, that place up to speed. the staff in that place up to speed. Or it's slightly sideways, as in it's your job, but it's working on a project with other people, one that requires your skill set. You know, you're kind of like the best example of the stuff that they have, and so the best person to work with for this job. But there's something of an opportunity here that is presenting itself to you. And it feels like at some point in the future, it's going to have unintended consequences. Good unintended consequences, mind. It's not immediately obvious what it is right here, but it feels like a little way down the line. This will be something that you can either refer back to, or you might be approached to do something again, but on a more permanent basis, you know? Oh, that's really interesting. Right, let's have a look, see what Taurus should focus on this week. We've got the Knight of Cups. And interestingly, it's come out in the reverse. There, for you. Now, it's interesting because really we like that card to come out in the upright, but in the reverse it doesn't feel like it's in a bad position here for you, because you are a sign who gives your cup so willingly to other people. You are so willing to contribute, you know, yourself to all interactions that you have. It actually feels like this week it's a good idea for you to kind of draw that back a little bit. And I feel like this specifically relates to this situation over here that you're dealing with. It's the practice of good boundaries, for sure, but also, you know, not feeling like you need to fix everything. And that is a temptation that could be felt with this relationship sort of situation up here. It doesn't feel like it's a partner or a spouse, although it could be. It feels like it's slightly further out than that. People kind of, you know, that you spend time with, but that you're not necessarily partnered to. But it feels like it's a really good exercise in you know, sticking to your guns, sticking to your boundaries, and being all like, you know, well, this person, you know, they're veering off. That's okay. Rather than feeling like you need to get in there and fix everything. We've got the Queen of Cups and Two of Wands and the Nine of Swords, beg your pardon here. Like, your options essentially this week are to just accept and make your peace with that. And I think that that's the most important part of that, making your peace with the, you know, the separation here. Or, you know, fall into old patterns of behavior, fall into old patterns of being. Now, I think for the, you know, overwhelming majority of the Taurians who watch this channel, like, it's perfectly obvious which is the right option here. But the practice of making it happen can sometimes be a little bit more difficult to execute. So be aware of it this week. And if you feel like you're starting to think just a little bit too hard about things, all those feelings of guilt, all those feelings of shame, they start to come up, you know, like, oh my God, I left somebody behind, I let somebody leave me, and I didn't do my best to fix it. The universe is pulling you two apart at this point, or you and this group of people apart at this point. So accept it, and then work on reconciling that within yourself, you know, that acceptance. And move on. Right? What should Taurus avoid this week, please? Thank you. Temperance card. Avoid trying to play peacemaker with this person. Like I said, I mean, this is just beautifully agreeing with what I've just said there, right? It's time. And left to your own devices, it's quite likely that you wouldn't draw an end quite so decisively to this. Like, the universe is interfering here, and so you must allow it to do its job. Don't try and pour oil on troubled waters with this one, because they're being pulled away from you for a reason. You know, you're being pulled away from each other for a reason. Think about this Temperance card here. Yeah. I mean, I think whoever it is, whether it's a person or some people, like I don't get a particularly nice vibe off them anyway, to be honest. I've got the Five of Swords here. There's something quite smug. Like, when you were a neurotic mess, you were quite entertaining to be around, you know, and the way that you would over-invest yourself and you would be, you know, so very, very helpful all of the time. Like, there was something about this person or these people that had them feeling quite smug and superior about that with you. But now you're standing strong, now you're standing firm, and now you're rocking this kind of Queen of Wands energy about everything. They don't like it, like, because what it's doing is it's showing them where the holes in them are, and they're not comfortable with that. They don't like that, and so they're going to try and prod holes in you, because that's what wounded people do. Don't try and fix what is being very deliberately broken around you by the universe. Okay, Taurus. Right then. Finally, we get to Gemini. So, give these... Actually, do you know what? I'm going to have a big swig of water. Delicious. Nice big shuffle. And let's move on to Gemini, Sun, Moon or Ascendant. Can I have a theme for the week for Gemini, please? Thank you. We have two cards. We have the Moon and we have the Ten of Pentacles. This is an intriguing combination of cards there. The Moon deals with things that are hidden. Specifically for me, coming at things from the Jungian perspective as I do, it's about your subconscious, it's about your non-conscious. And this week the theme seems to be on your relationship with the things that you are committed to. Now, for some of you, this could be kind of slightly sideways of that, and it could be about your relationship with money and stuff and things, because somewhere along the line we're taught as spiritual people that it is not okay for us to have any kind of attachment to any kind of, you know, material things. And so, you know, if we didn't already have one or before, we get a bit of a complex about money and things like that, you know, which will ultimately lead to us completely sabotaging ourselves. There's the Moon again as I'm splitting the deck. But for others of you, it's about... Well, hang on. Yeah, so we've got the Three of Swords, we've got the Hanged Man. Got another two, we've got the King of Swords, and we've got the Nine of Wands. What an intriguing set of cards. There are some really big themes at play here, Gemini. It feels a little bit like get comfy here. It feels a little bit like there's a bit of an identity dissolution going on with you at the moment. It's the darndest thing. And like, not only are you trying to look at yourself, not only are you trying to ascertain your own motivations, and I think that some of you might have been doing some shadow work recently, and it's brought up all sorts of things that seem to have entirely thrown your worldview up on its end. But more specifically than that, your place within it. Even down to how you relate to money, how you relate to stuff and things, and how you relate to your own security. Like, what security means to you and why it means what it means. These are some fucking huge themes, Gemini. What the fuck? We've got the Three of Swords and the Hanged Man. And so this seems like a very conscious process. This is what I'm saying. This is why it feels like it's deliberately undertaken shadow work. because it's an acknowledgement of wounding, and it's a conscious hunt for the source of the wounding, so that you can very consciously heal that, right? Change your perspective on a lot of things. But with this King of Swords and this Nine of Wands here, like maintaining this level of objectivity, you know, exercising good judgment about your boundaries and where they exist and stuff like that. Like, it feels like something's dissolving while something really strong and steel-like is remaining, in order to pass judgment on what is kind of ebbing away, or what it is that you're, you know, consciously looking for. It's like a battle of two states here for you, Gemini. And it could be, you know, it could be such a simple division as the 5D versus the 3D, you know, the ephemeral, the perceived, along with, you know, the material realm around you. Like how you function within it while you're trying to do all of these things. But it feels like a hell of a juggle that you've got going on here at the moment. This is really difficult work. This is really deep. And the dissolution, the dissolving as it's occurring, is with a view to reconstruction. We've got a proper caterpillar butterfly situation going on here. You know, when it cocoons itself up, it literally dissolves into goo, and then somehow, with fucking voodoo, just like reconstructs itself into a butterfly from goo. Hello, right? This feels like it's what you're doing here, Gemini, and it's all very conscious. And what you're struggling with at the moment is how you keep hold of that consciousness while everything else is kind of turning into goo. You know, how does a caterpillar know how to dissolve itself? How does a caterpillar then, well, how does goo know how to build itself into a butterfly? These are not really questions that we can answer terribly well, but it feels like that there's an aspect here of you attempting to do the same thing. I'm trying to dissolve into goo. I am a caterpillar. I'm trying to dissolve into goo, but I'm trying to maintain enough of my consciousness here so that I know when the goo state has been properly achieved, I can then start to reconstruct into a butterfly. This is really challenging energy, really challenging energy. And maybe it is because Mercury retrograde is in your sign. I mean, who knows? Possibly. Good Lord. Right, let's have a look at love and interpersonal relationships. I've got a lot to say on that. We've got the Seven of Pentacles with the Eight of Swords. Right? I've got the Six of Swords at the bottom of the deck there. I think there's an acknowledgement that there are relationships around you that aren't really working at the moment, and worse than that, and more than that, they are... Well, you feel stuck. You feel trapped. You know, now it's all about you keeping yourself stuck. It's all about you keeping yourself trapped, right? You know, the message of the Eight of Swords is it might not be you who put yourself there, you know, within those swords with a blindfold on, but your hands are fucking free and you could take it off if you wanted to, you know. This feels very strongly like you're starting to see relationships around you that don't bring out the best in you. Worse than that, they kind of encourage the worst in you for whatever. They encourage very narrow thinking, very restricted thinking. And it's like kind of looking at it and going, well, how is that working out for me? It's not working out great. We've got the Four of Cups. We have the Emperor. It's Aries energy. And we have the Seven of Wands. And it's like, how much are you gonna fight to try and change somebody's mind about it, and before you decide that it's time to pick yourself up and go? Because I think whatever relationship situation this particular relationship is dealing with, is referring to, there's very little value that I see it bringing to your table here, Gemini. And worse than that, it makes you feel rejected. there's this constant underlying, you're not quite good enough for something. And it's sort of a constant low-level attack that you seem to be experiencing all the time. And like this week, it seems very much like your motivation is just to get the fuck out of there and stop putting up with that. The question is then, why have you put up with it for so long? And I imagine that this is part of your goo process that's going on here. But there's definitely a sense of you kind of looking around at the relationships that you're surrounding yourself with and going, well, sorry about that, Joe. Now battery went flat. I had to go and quickly pile 10% more in. So anyway, as I was saying, kind of looking at the people that are surrounding you and going, okay, well, your class, you can stay. You're really good. You're really supportive. But you bring value to my life. I believe I bring value to yours. It's all good. But who are these people here? How have they kind of inveigled their way in? Why does my energy feel so low and so flat around them? Need to pull away, just a little bit. Shut the fucking window. So let's have a look at money and materials. And we have the World card here. I actually think that's really positive for you. It does talk about completion. And sometimes it can talk about things coming to an end, but it feels like a kind of graduation for you of sorts here, Gemini. Tell me about this. What have we got here? This has happened a number of times throughout this reading today, that I've had a card come out and then it be clarified by exactly the same card. We've got something really strongly completing, and we have you leaving it behind. There is movement here because something is too much effort. Right? No, that makes it sound like you're being lazy, and it's not. It's something that is very burdensome, and what you are getting out of it is not commensurate with what you're putting in. And it seems like there's definitely an element here of being like, actually, do I even really want to do this? Like, possibly not. Like, am I ever going to get the reward that I think that I'm going to get off it? No. Maybe it's time to rethink this, repackage it, and move in a slightly different direction. Because we have got the Six of Swords, we've got that movement, we've got you moving away from an ending. Now, presumably what you're sailing towards is the Fool. It's going to appear at some point, hopefully in the not too distant future. But for others of you, it could be that you have achieved something to the point now where you can leave something behind, right? Something that has been burdensome, something that you have been working on really, really hard. You've achieved a level of success that is now meaning that you are able to move off in a different direction. I might just pull another card and see which one of those is more specific here. We've got the Knight of Cups, which I like very much. That's a very open-hearted energy, and there you are as the Magician with the star at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, I think that actually what this World card is the end of the struggle. It's the end of the burden, because I think that you've learned a lot about yourself during this process, and I think you've probably learned a lot of the wrong ways to go about this. But like, was it Edison? I forget, whoever invented the light bulb. He was interviewed by a journalist once upon achieving the invention of the light bulb, and the journalist said, yeah, how do you feel now that you've invented it, bearing in mind that it took you, you got it wrong so many times, I think in like 99 times wrong, before you finally actually managed to achieve it. And Edison, I assume it was Edison, turned around and said, well, no, my dear man, I just found 99 ways how not to make a light bulb, and it's kind of, this is the kind of energy that I'm getting off here. It's like you found 99 ways how not to do the thing, and now you found the one that sticks. And in the process, you've learned a lot along the way. Learned a lot about yourself, for sure, but a lot about how it is that you want to manifest moving forwards, right? Even maybe the power that you have manifesting moving forwards, what it is that you need to work on, what it is that you need to work with, what you need to get into alignment with, what you've had to, release in yourself to move forwards. It looks very positive to me, though, like seeing it like that. What should Gemini focus on this week, please? Oh, I've got the King of Pentacles. It's a good time to be planning. for the future, rather than looking for, you know, gratification in the here and now. I think this is probably part of what you've learned anyway, Gemini. About this King of Pentacles. Fuck's sake. Fucking hell. Right. Let's try that one again. Tell me about this, please. King of Pentacles. We have the Six of Pentacles and the Chariot. Yeah, it's all about strategizing and planning how you move forwards now, right? How you can compromise between the need for, you know, what's going on in the here and now and what you will need in the future. Right? This Chariot card, it augurs very well for moving forward, success. It talks about determination, but it also talks about balance. Both of these cards talks about balance. So it's like, how do you balance off what you need in the here and now as offset against what you need in the future? And how do you plan for the future whilst also taking care of your present? These are things that it looks like it would be very important for you to examine this week. So what should Gemini avoid, please? Right. We've got the Three of Wands. And this is interesting because this Three of Wands here, as it's sat on my table, is going this way, right? It feels a lot like you should avoid just giving up, right? Which I know is an interesting way of defining that card, but it's here with the Four of Swords and the Moon. Now, I don't know if you can see it here, but the expression on that girl's face there, she's got her face scrunched up a little bit to me. That's how it looks here anyway. And it feels a lot like if you give up now, it's like you're almost on the, you know, the 97th, 98th version of a light bulb. Like you're so very close. If you go, well, fuck this, I was never supposed to do it anyway, and start, you know, kind of walking yourself backwards to the kind of person that you were before, or you know, who you were before you started this period of transformation, challenging transformation it feels like, but transformation nonetheless. It's almost like you're missing the lessons as they're being presented to you here. It's about perseverance. You know, if you pull back from this now, it's possible that you might lose all of the progress that you've made hitherto. You know, we've got that Moon card there making me feel again quite strongly, or interesting, first and last card of the reading is the Moon for you, that what's going on in here is very, very important at the moment, right? 97th, 98th version of a light bulb, you getting ready to reconstruct in something else. Like, don't lose heart, because the Fool is there. It's waiting, right? Waiting for you when it is time, when it is ready, when you hit, you know, iteration of light bulb number 100. You're gonna know it, right? So sorry about the interruption there. Hopefully it wasn't too jarring for you. And know that I love you all very, very much, and I will see you soon.